And we're back. Another episode with Just Luke. And we have my brother Danny Ivan on board. And we're going to kick it off with two special guests this week, actually. My buddy Christian Gaeta he's a high school football at Centennial. We're going to have him on later. And we're going to bring back Jimmy, because I felt like it was too short. He has a lot of conspiracy theories that are convincing, right? So we're going to have him on as well. So we're going to have two special guests. But we have a couple things we want to talk about in this week's episodes. The number one thing I want to talk about is and I know you want to talk about the Jake Paul fight, but let's talk about the women's soccer first. They lost. They're done. And who better to take the big L was Megan Rapinoe. Rapinoe, I think it is.
Rapinoe.
She missed the penalty kick that would have won it for the U.S. So it's maybe has too much pressure on her. Her last game is she didn't know it was her last game, obviously, because they thought they were going to win the gold. But
let me pull up the
shot.
Yeah, shot it over, but she smiles it off. She knows it's over. What can you do? What can you do?
Well, she smiles it off because I think she thinks the rest of the team's going to pick her up, and they didn't. They couldn't.
It's still a team effort.
It's a team effort. They shouldn't have got the shootouts in the first place. This is the earliest exit they've had, I think, ever. The least amount of goals they've had in a World Cup. I don't know how you fix it. Maybe it's like we talked about this before. Maybe the women's side of soccer has just come up. Like the men's side is getting better. Maybe the rest of the world is catching up to the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, we had this conversation before we started recording, is that, U.S. is always dominated in a lot of sports until the rest of the world catches up with their talent, and then they become very competitive, and they start beating the U.S. And U.S. women's soccer has always been dominant. So now maybe the rest of the world is finally picking it up and competing and doing better than the U.S.
Which I always thought was odd. Like, soccer and every other sport is super popular. Like, how come they weren't always as dominant?
Well, with women's sports, women sports were not as respected just a few decades ago compared to today.
In other countries, even our standards, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So now that other countries are more into the women's sports, more on board with that, I don't know if the U.S. is ever going to get dominated again. We missed our window.
It's like saying, will men's soccer ever be dominant for Team USA?
It's starting to get good. Like, when we're talking about men's soccer, more U.S. players, there's never been a time where more U.S.-born players are on big league teams. I'm not talking MLS. I'm talking League One in Italy. You got two players on AC Milan. You got other players in the Premier League. It's just, I've never seen this much talent U.S. wise in other leagues. MLS is always going to have mostly American players, like the college players that aren't going to be able to be pro in those leagues, in playing MLS. So in respectable leagues like La Liga, Premier League, all those other leagues like League One, Series A. Those leagues are starting to get more Americans playing on those leagues, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. So, for Team USA women's soccer, congratulations overall. Still proud of you.
Congratulations for losing in the first round knockouts. And you didn't even win group stage. Oh my gosh, they didn't even win group stage, dude. This was a bad year for them. I don't know what it is. Carly Lloyd, my girl Carly, called them out.
Yeah,
she called them out saying, "Hey, you guys got to pick it up." Maybe they're just having too much fun. It's like, what the hell? We're not going to know. I mean, it was Megan's last game. That's a horrible way to go out, but no one can go out like Jordan, right? On top. A lot of people just don't do that, right? So, congratulations for, I don't know what we're congratulating. I don't know. They didn't win their group.
They competed. I mean, I'm not.
They competed, but
they're.
What are we congratulating?
For competing, participating.
They were going to play.
Yeah,
anyways.
I know they didn't win the big one, but they brought it before.
I mean,
I'm still going to support them.
they lost their group stage. They didn't win the group stage, which they should have dominated, and they lost the first game in the knockout rounds. But congratulations for building a team and going out there and getting beaten in Australia.
TMZ has a headline that says U.S. Women's Soccer World Cup defeated, celebrated by Go Woke crowd. I mean,
What do you mean? What? Go Wool crowd?
do you see it over here?
No. Okay, U.S. Women's Soccer World Cup defeat celebrated by Go Woke crowd. I don't know.
I mean,
Megan's good. She had a great career. It sucks that she lost like that. Alex Morgan, I don't know if this is her last one. She'll probably play one more. I'm not big on the rest of the so-called stars on the team, the next generation of girls. I don't know. They got to wake up and play harder.
maybe they will after Megan leaves.
Yeah, maybe when Megan leaves and these, they'll realize, hey, we got to start training harder, playing harder.
And don't get involved in like PC or politics or anything like that. Just focus on.
You're not a
the team,
politician.
focus on
Leave
the
it
game.
outside the locker room. I heard some stories that she would bully teammates.
There's stories. Maybe she did. Maybe she did not.
That she was like telling people, you better kneel when the national anthem came out.
Oh, that's not. If
Yeah.
that's true, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. Like, you're going to tell, like, cool if you want to kneel, but don't bully other teammates to do that. Let them do what's right, or whatever. But am I glad she's gone? Yeah, I am. I'm glad. I think don't bring politics into the sport. You play for Team USA, then why are you on the team? If you hate America, why are you on the team?
If you hate America, why are you in the country?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. If you hate it here, go tell me where you're going to go that you're going to have a better life.
There's illegal immigrants who love this country way more than a lot of
Way
ungrateful
more.
Americans.
Exactly. Talk to Brittany Griner. She loves America now. Good for her. I support Brittany because I'm like, cool. I'm a new Phoenix. What's the team called?
Is that true that
Mercury.
Brittany Griner has a greater appreciation for America?
Yeah, Brittany has a great appreciation for America.
I mean, she learned the hard way, sure, because U.S. sacrificed a lot to get
Yeah,
her.
she saw how life could be. Yeah, she saw how crappy it was in Russia.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all we have for the U.S., right? The U.S. women, thanks for the memories. Like, it was super quick. Like, didn't get far at all.
Time to rally up from that.
Time to build up. And I think the coaching staff is gonna realize, hey, nothing's grand. I mean,
Well, with these with FIFA World Cups, watch it once every 4 years. Is that the only time the U.S. really cares about soccer,
the U.S. women's, yes.
but not men's?
Well, maybe that too, but men's have other tournaments. That we compete against other South American teams and other, the Canadas, the Ecuadors, and stuff like that. But as far as it's every 4 years for World Cup. But if you like soccer and you like watching Team USA players on other teams, there's so much soccer out there. It's pretty exciting. But as far as they're gonna wake up and realize, dude, I almost feel like they thought this was a given. You've seen the commercials? It's U.S. versus the world. Who's going to take us out? Who's going to take us out? And guess what? Sweden just raised their hand and said, we took you out. We did. So, hard lesson to be learned. You're not as good as you thought. You're just not. You did not win the group stage. You did not win a game out of the group stage. You got knocked out right away. Don't let it get to penalties. Plain and simple. They had a great team. I thought they were going to win it all. And I know not to bet on you guys again. Just kidding. But I had them down to win it all.
Really?
I thought they were going to win it all. I thought Spain was going to come right behind them. UK has a good team. And to be knocked out this early is just so crazy to me. So insane. But let's go ahead and skip and let's talk about what you saw last night. What did you watch last night?
Last night was the Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz boxing match.
How was it?
It was pretty good. I mean, it's the match to watch. It went 10 rounds instead of 8 because Nate Diaz wanted 10 rounds. But
Wait, Nate Diaz won in 10 rounds?
Yeah, he wanted 10 rounds.
Wait, did Nate win?
No. He thought he could win the long game.
Oh, Nate wanted 10 rounds.
Yes.
Not 8. Oh, okay.
Because normally Jake Paul's
Fights are
his
8
fights
rounds.
have always been 8 rounds, right? But this one lasted for 10 rounds. For Nate Diaz, he can strike, but it's not at the level I'd say of a boxer. I mean, he's a great fighter, MMA fighter, one of the best, all around great. But boxing is just like this one straight polished skill that people are all in. So it's, of course, Jake Paul has been doing it for a while, and I got to give him credit. He has been looking better and better each fight. He still has still that great age, great physique.
Well, he's not a pro fighter.
He's not a pro fighter,
But he's a fighter.
But you know what?
He looks good. And I give him all the kudos.
But, they've had boxing matches there too, right? Other actual professional boxers.
Yeah,
but the attention's not on them, right?
Yeah.
The main event is this YouTuber, Jake Paul, and a former amazing MMA fighter for UFC, Nate Diaz. And, they were the show. They're the ones who came out making millions. Well, the rest of the boxers, boxers who are not on the top, they don't make that much money, which is unfortunate.
Well, who else fought that night?
So the second, the fight before them was a women's championship boxing fight, and it was actually pretty good. Those two ladies slugged it out. But after the match, they talked about like, hey, no one really pays attention to us, especially women's, and we're coming up. This is much more needed for boxing compared to, I don't know, maybe the direction of boxing where it's just becoming celebrity matches that people care about now, like the Jake Paul and Nate Diaz type boxing matches.
Elon Musk versus Metaman. What's his name?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really going to happen?
Yeah, they're training for it.
That's so crazy to me. That's so crazy.
But the thing is, like, you and I know about that, and we're going to watch it, but, we don't watch the other boxing fights unless it's a championship fight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that fight because everyone wants to see who's going to win. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's in great shape.
And he's been training jiu-jitsu for a while, so if it's an MMA fight, I think he'll win them on that, on grappling.
Yeah, well, unless, like, we don't know about Elon Musk is an old school fighter, and then all of a sudden, got into business, and he's like, you know what, I can still fight. I'll fight.
Man, he's 51.
Huh?
He's 51. That's hard. I'm 37. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, if more power to him that he wants to do that. I mean, have you seen Jeff Bezos? He's buff as hell, man.
Well, they probably have the means and access to
they
get
have
like
the means, access to
testosterone,
testosterone stuff, the training, the diet. They
could feel like they're 20 again, right?
Yeah. They do the whole like blood of the children, whatever the joking around that people talk about. Maybe they sacrifice their own kids. I don't know, but. I mean, if I was a billionaire, dude, trust me, I would be freaking buff as well. But I'm not a billionaire, so anyways.
But overall, I mean, just to conclude the boxing match, like it's basically a celebrity boxing, at least how I perceived it. It's entertaining, yes. I wanted to watch Nate Diaz. I liked him throughout his whole career in the UFC.
He's never knocked anyone out in his UFC career.
It's true.
He's not a boxer.
He's a grappler, right?
He puts you to sleep.
So it probably made sense why Jake Paul wanted to fight him.
He knew that he's not a boxer. Let me fight him. He's a big name. But I heard that they're gonna fight in 6 months in the octagon.
Yeah, let me double check this.
Double check that. If that's true, that's suicide for Jake.
If I heard the post talk
if
later,
that's true, you're gonna get killed. You are, unless it's fixed and Nate's not gonna hurt you. But Nate's the kind of guy that's gonna hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Because they said they would do it again. Just do it at MMA fight. I'm looking it up here. Let's see.
No, I don't think that's gonna be a good, wise financial decision by Jake. Jake got busted. Remember, he got busted at Scottsdale Chandler Mall.
No.
A long time ago, when they had that. Do you remember a couple of years ago? They like. A bunch of people went into Scottsdale Fashion Square after hours and trashed it or whatever it is. Jake Paul was there. He filmed it. Oh, I'm inside Scottsdale Mall. I was like, no way. Nate Diaz accepts Jake's $10 million rematch challenge, but there's a big catch. There it is. $10 million. Dude, he's making Nate Diaz a ton of money.
Well, that's the whole point. It's a money grab. Huge money. There's millions of dollars.
Nate's never made this kind of money in UFC.
Mm-hmm. So why not do it?
I'm all for it. I'm good for it. And if people tune in to watch it, shoot, I'll watch it.
Yeah, UFC veteran Nate Diaz is set to battle Jake Paul in a boxing match this week, which already has passed.
Some contingencies, see? Okay, some contingencies. So they're going to put in there that you can't put me to sleep 100%. He'll tap out real quick.
Yeah, he actually, during the boxing match, Nate Diaz actually went for a guillotine in the last round. It's like, you can't do that in boxing, man. You can't just, like, get thrown in a headlock and try to choke him out. But
That's
he did it for a
hilarious.
quick second as a goof. Because he didn't take it.
You didn't take it serious.
He didn't take it
no,
seriously.
Why would you? You're not going to get a belt. You're not going to get... You're making a ton of money. It doesn't matter. But good for him. I like Nate. I was always a fan of him when he fight.
He knew, I mean, he made millions off it. So
You know, his brother's pretty tough, too. Nick Diaz was a tough son of a bitch.
oh, God, I get them. Their names are too close.
Yeah, Nick and Nate. Dude, can you imagine those two guys, like, fighting all the time? It's like my nephews, Logan and Bryce. They're going to be, like, the next Diaz's.
Oh, my gosh, I know.
They're gonna
It's
beat
probably going to be
everyone
Logan who's going to be the most.
Logan's
He's the nicest right now.
Logan's the instigator, and Bryce is just going to have to jump in because he's the older brother.
Well, he has to jump as his older brother, but
Yeah.
it's always like the younger
The
brother.
younger one's the instigator. So I could see that happening.
No, it'll be good. And plus, you have his.
Oh,
brother,
and then did
Logan
you
Paul.
see Logan Paul showed up in his wrestling outfit?
Yeah, because he just came back from, what was it, WWE SmackDown or something like that,
Some
from a
Slam
private
Fest,
jet.
SummerSlam.
He came
So
back.
you're telling me the whole flight on the private jet, you couldn't change your clothes?
No, it's for show.
It's for show 100%, dude. Like, you're a millionaire. You telling me you don't have an outfit on the plane? You know, you're telling me you couldn't take a shower on the plane? Listen, I saw Bruce Wayne on his plane, and he was taking shower, shaving, all kinds of stuff. You can't do that? It's all show. Here, I just got from so-and-so. No one cares. It is for show because he's advertising himself.
Well, yeah, I would too. Like these two guys, these two brothers, they're $1 million influencers. They'll do whatever route to make the money. Like right now, Jake Paul, he doesn't care about being the bad guy or whatever. He's still walking away with millions of dollars.
Yeah. I like Jake Paul. I think I really respect him. He's doing, you know, he has so many haters, but you know what someone told me? If you have haters, that means you're doing something right.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was like, oh, you know what? That makes sense.
There's I don't know if you ever listened to the podcast Flagrant with oh my gosh, I already forgot his name.
Flagrant. Nope, never heard of it.
Flagrant 2 actually.
Oh, I just saw a little clip. The feds raised the rates. Yep, I know that.
Oh, we'll talk about that. With
Oh, yeah. With this comedian guy. Yeah. Lizzo
Always.
allegation? What's going on? I heard about Lizzo fat shaming her dancers. I'm like, really? You're fat shaming your dancers?
why can I not remember his name? Sorry.
You're talking about the guy with the weird haircut and the mustache, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a comedian. He's hilarious.
What's his name? I can't believe I'm going brain dead. Like I would tell you if we weren't filming.
Yeah. He was on PBD recently.
Was he really?
Yeah. Do you see PBD and Joe Rogan? PBD was on Joe Rogan's show.
Recently.
Yeah.
It's the second time.
And he was talking about
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. That's it. Yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
He's hilarious.
He's one of my favorite comedians. I'm embarrassed. I
Dude,
could not remember
if
his
he
name.
ever watches this, I'd be like, never let you in my building.
Back to what I was saying. Jake Paul was on the show. I recommend listening to that whole podcast with him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's done both the brothers, Logan and Jake.
I like Jake a little more.
You think so? Just because he fights?
I think because Jake's
He's
like
tougher?
following his dreams and he's like, dude, it's hard to be. I've boxed before. Me and GR and my buddy Josh took lessons just for the hell of it. It's a hard sport, man. It's such a hard sport. And dude, like, it was embarrassing because me and Josh were like, we're all right. But man, GR, like, dude, the trainers were salivating over GR's punching, how hard he punched. And I was like, oh, great. We're like redheaded stepchilds. We're not getting any training here. But like, it's a hard effing sport, man. It's
is.
and I give them, anyone that's a boxer, I give you so much props because that's one of the hardest things to do. Your trainings are absolutely crazy. Your diets are crazy. And Jake Paul's a millionaire. He doesn't have to do this, you know, but he's doing it. So
Well, he's doing it. Well, he's doing two things. One, he likes it, and two, he's making a lot of money out of it.
yeah.
So you never work a day in your life. That's what he's doing.
I would love to see him in a full-blown fight against another pro down the road.
Like an actual pro, not these like celebrity type
Yes,
boxing
like,
matches.
I'm gonna see him say, you know what, I'm gonna fight someone my weight class. Let me see how I would do.
I could have sworn I saw a okay, Jake Paul sees himself as a world champion in 2026. My path may be different, but the destination is going to be the same. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
his path is going to be different, as in I don't have to fight.
I don't have to fight losers
I don't have to fight these guys to work my way up. I could go straight to a bout fight
because I'm Jake Paul.
because I'm Jake Paul. I could pretty much.
I would
buy
agree
my
with that
way
because
in.
he's making tons of money. He just want to start the beginning
Well,
where he
the thing
gets
is,
10
not-
grand.
Okay, not just that, but like they'll probably allow it because the money will be there. The money will be there. Be like, okay, you
Well,
can
I
have
think
a bout
also
fight.
the boxer that's the champion at the time is gonna be like, I can crush this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can crush Jake Paul. All right, come on, Jake, let's fight.
He'll probably progress his way to tougher opponents
Yeah.
who are well known.
Yeah.
Right?
What if he beats him? It's a whole Rocky versus Adonis Creed all over again.
Well, who beats who?
Jake Paul beats the champion. Whoever the champion at the time is in champion's gonna be like, Jake Paul's a celebrity boxer. I'll beat him. And Jake gets in there, surprises the world, and wins. That's not too
Unless
crazy.
it's set up, but I'm not gonna delve that. I'm gonna
Jesus.
say it's legitimate.
Set up.
Let's talk about not set up legitimacy. Sorry if I squeezed that in.
Well, I think I like Jake. Again, I think, everyone talks trash about him, whatever. I think it's just you're jealous of who he is.
You know what? I am a little jealous. I will admit that. His path is probably not as easy. I know I'm backtracking, but it's just, yeah, I am jealous. I'll admit that. Like,
I'm jealous of Hunter Biden.
'cause
That's
I-
the only person
like-
I'm hunting. That's it.
Well,
Not
the thing is, I like boxing too, but it is a tough sport. And I see this guy doing something that's fun in boxing, and actually becoming, living his dreams.
yeah, he looks good doing it.
So his path, like, I don't have to fight these scrubs. I'm just gonna keep fighting guys who are also well known because that's gonna make the most.
And he
money.
lost to
And
Fury.
at the same time, yeah, there'll probably be a rematch.
He humbled himself because he realized, okay, I thought I could beat a decent boxer.
Mm-hmm.
Fury's a decent boxer. He's not great. His brother's great, but the other Fury is not great. And he beat him. Or he lost. And I want to say almost barely lost. I mean, he could have gone the other way if he had a couple other rounds that went his way. But I think Jake's got hungrier. A loss like that will humble you and be like, okay, now I'm not undefeated, and now I can lose to these people. Let me fight some more guys and get my way up. I think it's a distraction for him to fight MMA style, though. If this is his path, don't.
It's a whole different animal.
Yeah, MMA is, you're gonna get
Just
crushed.
because you're an athlete at basketball doesn't mean you're gonna be an amazing baseball player,
Correct.
right?
Yes, unless you're Bo Jackson or Dave Winfield, he was drafted in 3 different sports.
Michael Jordan tried.
Well, he couldn't hit a baseball. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing here? Just because your name's Michael
You
Jordan?
know who Dave
What are we
Winfield
doing?
is?
David Winfield? No.
He was drafted in football, he was drafted in basketball, and he was drafted in baseball. And he decided to play baseball.
Oh, okay. Well, baseball's the safest. You can
Yeah,
have a longer career.
And he did. He was an MVP. He played for the Blue Jays, Yankees. The Padres is who drafted him. And he made the safe bet and had a great long career. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, to have three professional
Teams
wanting you.
wanting you.
That's amazing. That's an accomplishment.
He-
You can always look back and say, I could have picked either of these.
All 3 sports drafted him. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool to
Because you
have
can
that.
always look back and be like, what if I chose a different path? You have 3 big.
Yep. There's a lot of
Crossroads.
athletes like that. You wonder, like John Elway, he went and played baseball because he didn't want to play for the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the Yankees organization, and then they traded him to the Broncos, I think. And he's like, okay, baseball's over for me. And went over there. Danny Ainge, same thing. Drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays. He played in the minor league system and then ended up sticking out in basketball.
Why is Bo Jackson the one that sticks out the most? Is it because
He
he
was
did
good
both,
at both.
And he was amazing
He
at
was
both?
amazing at both.
Mm-hmm.
He was good at baseball, but his football was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He was ridiculous for the LA Raiders. That was my favorite team. Watching him when I was like in junior high and elementary, the guy was unstoppable. The Monday night game against the Seahawks against Brian Bosworth was the best game. Brian Bosworth is this big defensive player from Oklahoma, middle linebacker, I think he was, and everyone was scared of him. Bo Jackson knocked him on his ass and just ran. In that game, he ran past the tunnel, and he disappeared for a little bit because he was so good. He was so good, and then he got hurt, and that's ruined his baseball career as well.
It's really such crazy, freakish athletes there are in this world.
Bo Jackson's one of them. Deion Sanders was all right at baseball. He was all right. He wasn't great at baseball. He's decent, not to the level of Bo Jackson. So when people say, "Oh, Deion did it too," no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No one was scared of Deion Sanders in baseball. People are scared of Bo Jackson in baseball. He can hit a ball. He's a really good outfielder. Like, he was a really good all-star caliber baseball player, and he had a short career because of the football injury. So
is it just a matter of time that we'll find an MMA fighter who is just as good in boxing?
a matter of time. That takes a lot of think about what you just said. It's hard enough to grow up and be a good boxer, or a good MMA fighter, but to do both, that means you're an MMA fighter that's a knockout artist, right? You're a guy like a John Jones who can put people down and know enough grappling to put people to sleep or go down to the mat. So I would say, you know what, you could, but it takes a lot of dedication.
It would take a lot of dedication, but I mean,
Unless you're just a natural born badass.
Because right now there's kickboxers who are champions in UFC, right? Who are, they're probably not the greatest grapplers, but their kickboxing is so superior, and they know don't get to the ground with this other grappler who's in the ring with you. Keep your distance, and just do like a Holly Holmes. Just keep your distance and get that kick in the head and get that knockout.
Holly Holmes. She's still around, though. She's still doing it. I remember when
she's been losing lately, though.
Yeah, she's on a downhill 100%. But she's, I gotta give her a lot. Career. She's still fighting. Even though she's getting her butt whipped, she's still fighting. I got to give it to her. What happened to my girl, Rose? I used to have a crush on Rose.
Rose Namajunas? She's still around.
Yeah, she
almost quit her career after a huge injury that she just got slammed on her head.
Ugh.
That was dirty.
Was it?
Well, I don't know if it was dirty. I don't think it was intentional, but it was just like, it just looked bad. It was one of the more terrible injuries I've seen.
Something like that, you're thinking, you know what? My health is more important than a couple $1,000s. You have enough money put away. I should just walk away. That's because you're thinking, one more fight, but that one more fight could be the injury that puts you down.
Right.
Look at Apollo Creed and Rocky IV. That one last fight killed him.
Well, that's a movie.
He did. Oh yeah. It's if you, I don't know. It depends what reality you're in.
I've heard another discussion about the whole thing with Jake Paul being in boxing is that he's making boxing exciting again.
People are talking about boxing again.
Or has boxing always been exciting? Or is he just helping the younger generation put boxing on the map?
Maybe he's maybe putting it for the younger generation, but there's still a lot of good boxers out there. Tank
I'm a
guy.
Tyson Fury right now.
Tyson Fury's cool, but that one dude, Tank, that beat Ryan Garcia, that dude's a stud. Tank Davis.
Tank Davis, is it?
Yeah, I think it's Tank Davis. But he can hit hard. I mean, I saw he did a body blow on Ryan Garcia, and Ryan's face was like, I'm hurting.
I remember Tank Davis. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's a stud, man. He's a guy that when he fights, you should watch him. I think he's gonna fight Ryan again, but Ryan, I don't know if he wants to fight him. He took a shot into the body and I don't know, he broke all his ribs on that one, and you can see his body just do an unnatural movement.
That's the one thing you see in boxing more often is knockouts by body shot.
Yeah.
Like they get the winds knocked out of them where they just crush the rib. Because body shots hurt.
Yeah,
people think boxing's all about getting punched in the face. Yeah, it's more exciting, but dude, a body shot.
They hit you on the side, dude, where
liver shots?
Dude, you're done. I've seen a lot of people get hit there and fall to their knees in pain because it's an uncontrollable pain. Your body buckles up, and depending on how hard of a hit that is, you feel like these little tingly things on your body. So it's like, no, it does not feel good. You're short of breath. You're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. It's just, it's horrible. So
yeah, I've seen guys they have a hard head. You hit them in the head all day long, they're fine. But one good body shot,
knockouts aren't that bad. They're not that bad. I've been knocked out a couple of times. You don't even know what's going on. You're asleep. Big deal.
Well, the scary ones in the octagon are the guys who are knocked out so bad that they have zero control and their head bounces on the ground.
Yeah,
that's the scary
I
one.
hate the ones where they get knocked down and then the fighter gets on top and keeps hitting them. Like, dude's knocked down.
That's the ref.
And the ref's stop that right away.
The guy clearly cannot defend himself anymore. He's in a different dimension right now.
what's more exciting, UFC, boxing? I still think UFC is more exciting.
No, UFC is still more exciting, but boxing is.
Boxing is getting there. Depends on
I think
who
it's coming
fights.
back on the map. Yeah. I mean,
I always watch Canelo. Canelo's my guy, but there's still a lot of other guys. You like Fury. Fury's cool to watch. He said he's going to retire, but he's back. He's someone to watch. There's a lot of big names that are still worth watching in boxing. UFC, there's a lot of big names. There's even smaller fights that are good. The women's fights are really good.
I love the women fights in UFC.
There's some really great women duke it out.
And thank you, Ronda Rousey, for opening that door.
Yeah. Yeah, she was deadly. Like, she would whoop my ass. Like, she was.
She was whooping
Remember
everyone's
her,
ass until
her
Brazilians
and Misha
started getting
Tate.
in.
Those fights were the best.
Oh, Misha Tate,
I
yeah.
love Misha Tate. Oh, she was great. I just they hated each other. That's why I love those fights. They hated each other. Misha wasn't so much, but Ronda hated Misha, and it was just crazy to
Misha
watch.
Tate never beat Ronda Rousey, right?
I don't think so. Ronda,
She won the belt once, but never successfully defended it.
no. Rousey was too much. I remember Holly Holmes won. Remember that when she beat Ronda? That was the night that if you parlayed, I think it was that fight, the Conor McGregor fight, and the Lakers at Golden State. If you would have parlayed those three, $100 won you $3,300.
Oh, who could see that, though?
A time machine could totally take me back and get that, because it was the year the Lakers were the worst team in the NBA, and the Warriors were the best. Right? That's the year they won 72 games. So Lakers at Warriors, like, there's no way. Plus, Ronda Rousey was on top of her game. No one really knew too much about Holly. And then Connor was on top of his game and lost to, I forgot who that was that he lost to.
Yeah, that Holly fight with Ronda Rousey.
Oh,
You
that's
see
great.
the game plan. Like, she's just keeping her distance. Like,
Keep her distance.
Don't go to the ground with her at all. If you do somehow, just escape, get out of it.
And then when
Don't
she
compete
caught her,
grappling.
I was like, what? And you saw it in her face, and I was like, no way this just happened. But yeah, Ronda was a scary one to fight. But like today's UFC, there's a lot of good guys to watch, but then there's a lot of new names. Like, I'm a casual fan. I like to watch them. I don't follow it hardcore as I did when I was younger. When I was really into it, when back in the BJ Penn days, and Ryan Bader's. I used to love watching Ryan Bader because he's from Arizona. Those fighters, even like Chuck Liddell and stuff like that. That was like towards the beginning of me watching it, but towards the end of their careers. George St. Pierre was legit to watch too, and remember Quentin Jackson? That guy was awesome to watch, and I was really into it back then. But then you have kids, you have a life, you have
Here's one thing with UFC that drives me crazy: that they keep calling their champions undisputed, knowing that there's already other MMA leagues out there where a champion should be able to fight other leagues. I don't know if they are or if they're
No,
exclusive
they're not.
to UFC.
But UFC is the biggest one, so of course they're going to say that.
Yeah, but boxing has 5 major leagues.
Yeah.
So if you win all 5 belts in that division, you are the undisputed champion. But UFC, it's like, okay, you win the belt, you're automatically an undisputed champion because you're not allowed to go to one fighting or.
You can't, if you're under contract, you can't go to other fights.
So what is
Which kind
that
of
about?
sucks, but it is because the UFC is like, hey, we own you. We don't want you to go somewhere else and get hurt. We don't want you to go somewhere else, and if you lose, the next fight we have scheduled for you is not going to sell as much.
Sure.
So that's,
I understand the monopoly of that.
yeah. And them not getting paid, I get it.
But then how does boxing do it when one boxer goes to another league, loses? Does they come back
Because
get an exchange?
boxing is a whole money machine. They're all in it together.
It's so big because of gambling. That's why.
Not just gambling, but they're all in it together. They're all associated. They're all running it together in boxing. And UFC and stuff, it's so, when it was new, Dana and the UFC are on this side, and then some Bellator would open here, some other one over here.
Right.
Just like wrestling today, like WWE, and then you had NWA, then you had WCW, then you had, and you still have that today. You go to the East Coast, there's still all these smaller companies. What is it? Impact Wrestling is out here. AWE or AEW is another one. You're always going to have these second tier wrestling groups.
Yeah, UFC, I guess they're just trying to hold themselves as the top
Because they are.
MMA.
They are the top MMA.
Yeah, because people allowed it. I mean, Bellator's pretty up there.
Bellator's getting there, but you see the
But
names.
they're also doing their own thing where like they're only exclusive. Those fighters are only exclusive to Bellator now because they're trying to bring up Bellator as high as possible and have, okay, if someone in say welterweight is like the best in Bellator, don't you want to see if they're the best in the UFC or vice versa?
You'd have to get like a contract, like get both Bellator and UFC to agree on the winnings. Let's split the winnings 50-50, the TV rights or whatever, and make a super fight.
Then it gets complicated. TV rights, and they have disputes, and they won't do it. They just can't work
Well,
together.
they can't work out because Bellator's on one station and then you got UFC on another. How are you going to... Okay, we're going to have it on ESPN because it's bigger. Or we'll do it all on pay-per-view and we'll split it together. But then you already have the contract with pay-per-view. It's a mess.
But then UFC's like, I'm the biggest. Why should I care about anyone else, right?
Or why should I split this 50-50? Makes sense.
So, I get it. I mean, there's when greed comes to play. Yeah, it sucks.
No, I get it. I see where that's coming from. What else happened this week or 2 weeks since we were off for a while?
Shoot, I don't know. What's been going on with you? I mean, I've been watching more TV shows and stuff.
What are you watching?
I just finished watching Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. Really good.
Is that good?
Really
What is it
good.
about?
It's about a lawyer, defense attorney. First season is about he has to represent a really rich guy who owns like a big gaming company. Think of like, I don't know, like Blizzard if you know them, or EA Sports.
Yeah.
And this guy is convicted of murdering his wife, and then somehow the defense attorney has to prove him innocent. It's really smart as they go through it. It's an exciting show. I just finished season 2. The last episodes of it just came out last Thursday, in fact. Great show. And also, I just finished the first season of Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
I love Sons of Anarchy, and they're bringing it back.
What?
Yeah, they're going to write a script where they're bringing Jackson back somehow. He's too popular. That show was way too popular. And they're trying to figure out how to make money. Have you seen Mayans yet?
No.
That's the Hispanic Sons of Anarchy.
Is it really? Okay.
But it's made by the same people.
I just finished the first season.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy's on it. Oh, you only saw first
I
season?
only
of
saw
Sons?
the first season.
Yeah,
I just finished
dude, you're
it.
so way behind.
I'm very behind on a lot of TV
That's a
shows.
great show. It's a sad
Yeah.
show, too. There's
The first season devastated me how it ended. I was like, more effer.
not just that, like,
But if it's going to be like that, it's like, damn it.
oh,
man.
dude, you're my favorite character. Like, oh, you're.
I like Opie right now.
That's my favorite character.
Yeah.
Opie's he goes through some trials and tribulation with this.
Dude, it's because the first season, I think he was the most, I wouldn't say identical character. It's just the character you felt for the most because he's already struggling with a lot of things as it is. And it's just more struggle keeps getting piled on.
Oh,
him.
it does the whole like thing, and until it something happens at the end, you're like, what the hell? Opie's dope, but Mayans is they have Sons of Anarchy characters on there, but it's about the Hispanic ones, and the Mayans are in the show Sons of Anarchy. Like you'll see that.
They're just not the concentrated.
Correct. But they have their own show, so
They have their own spin-off.
they have their own spin-off. So I've seen a couple episodes. I'm not too big on it. I just started watching the show Silo. I thought it was Amazon Prime has it. It's on Apple.
Silo? Okay.
I just saw the first episode. I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. And it's about like these people living in a silo underground for over 100 years, 140 years. They can't go outside because, they'll die, right? But then you find out this is 140 years after our civilization. So technology is super advanced. So the images they're seeing of the outside world aren't the real images. They're keeping them in this silo on purpose. For I don't know what reason. I just saw the first episode, but it looks super good. It looks super intense. It's just about like you believe in something that you've been told, and a small group of people are questioning it, and they're the bad guys. Right? Oh, you guys are the bad people because you're questioning why we're down here and why we can't go out to the real world. It is the first episode was trippy. Like I was like, okay, I want to see the second one. So they're an hour long, so I'll watch an episode here and there. I finished Ted Lasso finally, loved it.
How many seasons are there?
3, I think.
Okay, I've seen the first few episodes of the first season. I didn't finish it
I
yet.
really liked it. I think that's all I'm watching right now. Me and my wife are watching Jack Ryan on Amazon together.
Oh, nice.
I like it. That's a good show.
Oh, what season are you on?
We're on 3.
Okay.
It's a good show. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch The Witcher, the last season of Witcher, but I've heard bad things about it.
I haven't got to season 3 yet. I've seen the first 2 seasons.
I like it. I thought Henry Cavill was awesome.
I heard they put it. Well, there's a delay on season 4 because of the writer's strike right now, right?
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And then last week I was in Dallas. I took my son for a surprise trip to watch his favorite team, Real Madrid,
Oh, talk
play
about that.
my team, Barcelona, at AT&T, where the Cowboys play.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that stadium is beautiful. So spacious. That stadium is so advanced. Like, dude, it's so much better than the Cardinal Stadium.
Oh, doesn't it feel like? Oh, how many people can fit in that stadium? Like
There's
80,000 or something like that?
88,000 to watch that game.
Goodness.
And it was crazy.
That's like 4 times the size of the Cardinal Stadium.
And it was so crazy because this is a rivalry. It's a big rivalry in their league. And each team has their own fight song. So Real Madrid, they did their fight song. Half the fans are screaming top of their lungs. Then Barcelona did their fight song. The other half screaming top of lungs. No fights whatsoever. No one got yelled at each other. It was super pleasant. It was a great atmosphere. Great atmosphere. I want to say it was more 55 or 60% Real Madrid fans over Barcelona. It was a tad bit over. Everyone wearing white jerseys for Real Madrid. Barcelona wearing their home kits, and bought my son 2 jerseys there outside the stadium. They're selling them super cheap. I was like, what? Cool. We go inside. The line was like so long to buy jerseys indoors, $110.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, guys, go outside. A bunch of Hispanic dudes are selling them for super cheap. $40. So I bought them 2, and I got myself a new one too. I already had a jersey, but I was like, oh, I want the new one. $40. Yeah, why not? So it was a blast. Yeah, we definitely would do it again. Tickets were super expensive, $1,200 for lower level, because it's a once in a lifetime thing for us. And I was like, oh, but it's $600 a piece, $1,200 total, and it's worth it.
Yeah. How often is that opportunity going to show
Lower
itself?
level, right there. I mean, that opportunity might not come back again. And if it does, we'll go again. It was awesome. And then you're going on this concert, huh? Just tell the world what you're doing.
My girlfriend is a huge Pitbull fan. Huge Pitbull fan. And here in Arizona, there's going to be a concert with Enrique Iglesias, Pitbull, and Ricky Martin the weekend of Thanksgiving. So I don't know how much tickets are going to cost. I know it's going to be a lot. Concert tickets cost a lot of money now.
Dude, those tickets are going to be so much. They're going to be like probably $200.
I think I like half. I mean,
dude, it's Enrique, it's Ricky, and Pitbull. You're gonna.
I know.
Think about Taylor Swift tickets. How expensive those tickets are.
What is it, like $1,000 a pop?
Dude, I can't believe the people that pay that kind of money.
I can't believe it.
No, those are for like nosebleeds too.
I mean, they're talented artists though, so I'll probably enjoy it too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
They are talented artists.
You'll have fun.
But my girlfriend, she loves Pitbull, so I'm like, I have to take her to this.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's not like any other or anyone else, right?
Yeah.
This is like her favorite musician.
She ever been to a Pitbull concert?
She has been.
Oh, well. But this is all 3. That's gonna be a crazy one.
I know, right? She got all. I mean, not all, but like some big Latin artists.
Yeah.
In one spot.
Well, we have 2 special guests today. We have lined up. First, we're going to go with my buddy Chris Gaeta, who's a high school coach at Centennial. And then like I said, we're bringing back Jimmy.
Yeah, let's talk about some more conspiracy theories.
I want to talk about Antarctica. I've recently gone down that rabbit hole, so we'll bring him on.
What did you look up before we start talking to him?
What do you mean?
Anything about Antarctica?
No, so I was like... So here's what I was doing. I was on my phone, and there's something about Antarctica, and I clicked on it, and I watched it. I was like, that's kind of cool. And so I went back to my homepage. Then I see all this stuff on Antarctica because I clicked on that Antarctica one. So then I started seeing podcasts about it. Whistleblower in Antarctica says this is there and this. And I was like, what? There's an ice wall, and on the other side of the ice wall, it's another world. I was like, what?
Why is it a wall though?
I know.
A
It's
Game of
just
Thrones
it's
wall.
Game of Thrones wall, dude. That's where it came
It
from.
can't just be a flat road of
So,
endless ice.
what if there was a wall? Just entertain me. If there's a
Yes.
wall on the other side of the wall, what if they're not as advanced? They're human. They're humans like us, but they're not as advanced.
Or more advanced than they're controlling us.
Or no, maybe not. Maybe someone else
Or
controlling
maybe
them.
flat Earth does exist, but we have to wake up from this simulation. And when you wake up like Neo, then you see the flat Earth
The
dome and
whole
whatnot.
Matrix scenario becomes more real the older I get.
I know, isn't that weird? Because I'm starting to believe it more. Like the possibilities of that actually happening is becoming more truer and truer.
Especially
to the
with
point where I'm
technology.
like, maybe we are in one right now. We're never gonna know what real life is.
I'd be like that guy in Matrix talking to one of those guys in suits. Hey, I want to be a movie star. Or hey, just have a knock on my door and say that a rich billionaire died and left me all his money. Let me enjoy the rest of this life. What do I have to tell you? What do I have to give you? You know, what? Or do we program in our next life what we want to be? What if we're not real? Well, we think all these feelings and like heartburn and shortness of breath when we work out is not a real thing.
It'd be crazy because it's like, I don't know.
It would
it's just
screw up everything you believe in.
Well, it would screw up everything you believe in, but like humanity and just being a living organism on this planet is strange. And
It is. It's crazy to be who you are, where you are.
if you were to be another intelligent life form looking down at Earth, would you want to associate with us?
Well, we talked about this before. It's like you can't talk to your dog. We
Right.
can't talk to
Can't
dolphins.
communicate with other species. Yes.
So how would if we saw another species, they know that we can't communicate. So why would they want to interact with us?
They probably look at us as like a safari run, right? Same way we do with the safari run. Oh, look at that! Oh, look at this! Lions and giraffes. Ooh, ah! And then they leave. They probably do the same.
And we come visit every once in a while. That's why there's lizard people.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Jimmy
probably
believes there's lizard people.
Yeah, I mean, they come down here and be like, "Why should we associate with it?" They eat each other.
But that's another thing. If they're that's not too hard to believe that there's aliens among us that are hiding because they're checking us out like a
Are they checking
safari.
us out, or it's just a safari run?
Safari
Could
run.
be just a safari run, right?
Yeah, they might be like, hey, let's pick a couple of these, do some probes, or like, you know how you see missing people and they never explain what happened? Like, maybe they take some of us and they study us and
Eat
can we
us,
use
maybe?
any of this stuff? Or, oh my God, this guy tastes good. What is he, Indian? Let's go get some more Indians. Let's look up.
Same reason how we have primates in a cage for study sciences purposes. Like, where'd Jimmy go? Those monkeys were probably thinking, "Hey, where did Jimmy go?"
What if this is the cage?
Yeah.
The whole dome. We're the cage. And we just grew. Like what if they got Adam and Eve and that was it? And we grew from that.
I mean, let's go with this. I mean, size is so linear for us, but for other intelligent beings, it could be nothing. The whole galaxy could just be a pebble, and they're just looking at us.
That'd be crazy.
Or I wouldn't say a pebble, but like a size of like these titans. A galaxy is like as big as a lake or something in comparison, and they can go in and out easily. They can look and study things. But then, how do they walk around here? I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe they send a probe or something.
No, it's just there's too much weird. I don't know.
It's fun to think about because there's so many possibilities.
It's good to talk about because you don't know what's real, what's not. We don't know what's real, what's not. We don't. Matrix. We talk about the Matrix theory. Yeah, flat Earth. I don't think that's real. But what if it was? Again, what if this is a simulation? There is a flat Earth and like there's a dome. Like Jimmy thinks,
That's the only connection I'm willing to make is that, okay, maybe this life I'm in that knows of around Earth and a galaxy and endless universe,
because they're able to simulate that.
but they're able to simulate that because we can't go farther than our own solar system.
What if it's like the
let alone
Matrix? You
galaxy.
wake up, it's all
But
doom and
we wake
gloom.
up and then it's like, oh, this is the dome flat Earth they're talking about. I just have to wake up from the simulation.
Yes, the people that talk about flat Earth, they woke up and they were able to
came
see
back,
it.
and
They
they-
came back. That would be weird, right? That'd be a trip, because there's people that believe in God and there's people that don't. We're not going to know until we die, but it's like you choose to believe because you think that there's something out there that's helping you, whatever. Me personally, I've had little miracles. I always talk about it that I believe because there's unexplained unless there's a maker watching, and he is God to us. But he's like, oh, this guy he's saying a prayer. I'll answer it right now for him. And you're like, holy cow, there's no way. There's no way. Unless there was a God, there's no way this happens.
Maybe God can only answer so many prayers.
Or only answers what he wants to answer.
Right, yeah.
Or he's capable of answering.
Of what he's capable of answering, right?
Yeah, all
I
these
can't
people
give you $1 million, but
Yeah,
I
God,
can probably heal you
give me
faster.
$1,000. No, I don't think so. I mean, win the lottery? No, I don't think so. I can't do that. I mean, you probably could, but
Then that's just to say that God is infallible.
well, we'll see when we die. What if we don't die? We just wake up and we're like, and then we plug back in. What if this is our whole lifespan is just a dream, and then we wake up, go about our business, and have another big dream?
So our current dreams is just a dream within a dream. That's like Inception.
Yeah, like that's another great movie.
What's
the other
I
movie?
just woke up from a life
Yeah,
time, and then I had relationships with people, and then I woke up, and it's all
There
like
was a
fading
show.
away.
there was a show where the guy, every time he woke up, or every time he went to sleep, he was in a different life. And when he woke up, he's in another life. So he's in two lives. One where his wife dies, and the other is where his son dies. So he's living this tragedy in both lives.
Oh my gosh.
So he sees his son.
What is this, a movie or?
It's a show on NBC a long time ago. It only did one season. Great concept. Great concept.
I don't know if you heard the story with Ari Shaffir talking about his huge hit with salvia to Joe Rogan. Salvia is like a drug, like you inhale it like pot, but it gives you a buzz that lasts for like a minute or something, right? But in that minute, like time is different because he took this hit, and then although to us we were looking at him, he's like high as hell. That lasted like a minute to 3 minutes. For him, it was like a month that he was in a different reality, had relationships with people, and all this craziness.
Well, that's crazy.
So it's like, it makes you question what is time and its pace.
Well, we question everything because it's not what we think. Quantum physics. You ever look into the quantum physics and stuff?
That's beyond my level of comprehension.
Oh, me too. But it's like when they explain it, sometimes you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Time, all that stuff. You question everything. You question who you are, what we. It's just quantum physics is crazy.
Well, okay, our understanding is like,
There's no understanding that.
think of what 2D is. It's like a one-way road, one lane road, and then no, that's 1D, and then 2D is like you have another lane so you can like move back and forth. 3D, you have an elevation so you can go up and straight.
Left and right.
4D, we can't comprehend what a 4D would be.
But there's past
But
4D.
it could exist.
It could exist. I
It's
read somewhere in
incomprehensible for human.
quantum that there's more than 4D, 5D, 6D.
Oh yeah, it
It's
could
just
be endless.
we're not there. And it would blow our minds if we were able to.
What is a fourth dimension? What would it look like?
Yeah.
Because all we know is like width, height, and depth. What could be the fourth measurement?
See through? I don't know. Where I can see
it's
stuff
crazy.
beyond you. Like my eyes are able to like look around. I don't know. But that is like that is some craziness, is quantum physics. Like we won't ever understand it, but when you see Neil deGrasse, whatever, and
Tyson, yeah.
Tyson deGrasse and all these people talk about it, you're like, wow. That's crazy. Any movies you watched lately? There's nothing out there, is there? Movie wise?
Movie wise, no, I have not. You?
No, I did see Guardians of the Galaxy 3's on Disney Plus.
Was that your first time watching it?
No, I saw it in the theaters.
Oh, right.
I thought it was great.
I like the turn on how movies from theaters go straight to streaming.
Transformers was on Paramount, so I watched that.
How was that?
I'm so glad I didn't see it in the theater. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was worse than like
screw dialogue and screw story.
Dude, there's so many
screw
questions
plot,
after you watch
just
that.
blow stuff up.
Like you ever
plot holes.
watch Bumblebee?
I believe so. Yeah.
I watched it. I was like, it's all right. But then I rewatched it. I was like, okay, I get it in the timeline what happened. I watched this one. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are screwing everything up.
That's something that needs to start over, huh?
Transformers, do you start over? I guess you could.
Well, they've had different lead actors, but it's always been the same.
I miss
Optimus
Shia.
Prime.
He was awesome.
Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, he was awesome. I liked him in the first two. 3. He was in 3. Megan Fox was in the first 2. Marky Mark was all right. Wasn't bad. I wish they would have kept him in there. I hope they make one with all of them together, but I think in the Marky Mark one, they showed Shyla died.
Oh, I don't
They
remember
explained
that.
that he went crazy and died.
Oh, they have like an explanation.
Yeah, then an explanation for that. He wasn't alive anymore. But no, like Bumblebee was awesome, but it's just like they had another main character Transformer that was Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson was Transformer,
Right.
and I mean he's funny, but like he was like the main one, I guess. It wasn't. It was okay. I love watching Transformers, cool, but here's what happened. They bring in GI Joe into it. They even say GI Joe at the end. The guy hands him a card and it says GI Joe.
Well, thanks for spoiling that for me.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert. But
Hopefully, I mean, GI Joe is something that needs to be rebooted.
oh,
and
GI
done
Joe has
right.
to be rebooted, and you got to do it right.
You
You
have
can
to
have
do
a
it
whole
right.
universe. I watched Snake Eyes. I loved it. I thought it was great.
But the one with The Rock was horrible. It's a horrible story.
You're gonna kill Duke? I mean, dude, are you serious? You're gonna kill off Duke, the main character. They gotta
He
redo
just
it.
didn't get a contract for
They
it.
had Brendan Fraser was Sergeant Slaughter,
Yeah.
and I was like, really?
Who was
Like,
Bruce Willis again? But
no, he was.
he's the general. General.
He was General Hawk. He was General Hawk.
General Hawk,
Yeah.
right? But he was like all taking orders and whatnot. And like,
Falcon
you're
was
a
on
general.
there.
What are you doing?
Falcon was on there. I mean, like, Flint was on there. I'm like, dude, no, you guys, they gotta redo it.
They need to redo that one badly.
So
Started off with like, doesn't matter, be actors. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's good writing. We need good writing, good plots.
yep, they need good writing and good. Let's start over. Let's create these guys again. Let's bring in the bad guys, but keep them in the movie. Don't kill them off. Don't kill off the Baroness. Don't kill off Destro.
Actually, I think GI Joe needs to be a TV show, not a movie, not a series of movies.
It should be like an HBO Game of Thrones show. 10 episodes. A movie wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah.
Because you can't build up enough character plots and missions and stuff. Each season could be a mission.
It could be like a Jack Ryan type
100%.
writing, you know?
100%. Bring back G.I. Joe, Amazon Prime. I think I would put my money on Amazon Prime doing it
You know what,
right.
for how they're making like those espionage type movies like they are with like a Jack Ryan, I think they would do great with a GI Joe.
They would do great with G.I. Joe because you don't have to go crazy, blow shit up all the time. It could be like a total like secrets behind the scenes kind of thing and introduce Cobra at the end of season 1. You know, and bring all these guys in and, you know, have, you know, Duke in the army and all these other guys in other services and during the season create G.I. Joe at the end, right? Like you have all these agencies chasing Cobra or what they think is Cobra or whatever, and they're fighting against each other. Like the Army's fighting the Navy and the Marines are fighting the Air Force going, no, we have jurisdiction. No, we have this information. And have someone bring them all together. So you know what? We're going to create
We're gonna create a team, a little bit from everyone's specialties.
everyone's specialties, and we're going to call it GI Joe. That would be awesome. Amazon Prime would do a great
I
job.
trust them for right now
Yeah,
to not make things.
maybe Netflix might be able to pull it off.
Netflix adaptations suck now.
Yeah,
They
I think
suck.
Amazon Prime would do the best
I don't
job.
trust Netflix for adaptations anymore. I trust them with new content, but adaptations they keep.
So GI Joe for sure, Amazon Prime, right? Not Paramount, none of these smaller.
I would
companies.
trust Max.
Or Max. HBO would do a great job.
Well, I mean, does Max make TV shows that are like very espionage-ish?
They could. Why wouldn't they?
I mean, they
if
could. They
they
have
wanted
the
to.
means, but like, I don't know any that they.
I still think from what I've saw, like you're right, Amazon Prime does it right, and they spend money because that Lord of the Rings show was I liked it, and they spent a lot of money on that.
They spent a crap ton of
And
money.
I think GI Joe is the type of show that you can have 10 seasons, and you could build it up season for season, fighting different whatever. I think the one that'd be crazy is when they bring in Serpentor. That would be a little hard to swallow, but they're trying to bring in GI Joe and Transformers together. That's gonna be so weird.
Did they do that in animation series?
Maybe I know they did it in comics,
Okay.
and I thought it was just weird, right? Like you're gonna have Cobra team up with Megatron. That's gonna be weird. I'd rather see it on a TV show on Amazon Prime, and call it a day. What shows when you were a kid would you wish they would say, you know what, we're gonna try to do a live action of this?
A live action For a cartoon or something?
that you liked when you were a kid?
I would say, hmm. They did a popular video game. They did a cartoon with this one. I would say a Zelda series, but
Oh, Zelda would be
because
great.
they had a cartoon of it. Very cheesy if you were watch it again. Super cheesy.
I might have to look it up on
It's
YouTube.
bad. But the thing is, but it would be a video game adaptation. And that's a slippery slope because it's hard, especially a big franchise like a Zelda, where you're trying to make Link into an enjoyable character to watch. A balance of being awesome, but also being like his character.
You ever watched The Boys?
Yeah.
You remember the guy Huey?
Huey?
Huey.
Which one's Huey? Hold on.
He's the guy. He's the main character.
Oh, right.
That doesn't have superpowers. He falls in love with Starlight or whatever.
Right.
He should be Link.
That'd be a good Link.
Because you want Link to be a hero type, but like kind of like
Goofy a little bit.
Goofy.
A little bit goofy.
I like
Clumsy.
I like Huey in The Boys. I think he's a great actor. Jack Quaid, I think.
See, another Prime, The Boys. They did it great.
I love The
And they
Boys.
keep
That's
pushing,
such
they
a
keep
great
pushing
show.
the envelope. I'm like, keep doing it. That's
Dude,
what
they
you need
do
to do.
like where the guy gets micro and in his dick and
Don't-
blows it
don't-
up.
don't
Like,
spoil
oh
it.
my god, that's
Apparently,
so
there's
crazy.
supposed to be some really bad stuff coming up too. That's worse. That's
They
like
do.
very
They
cringe.
they do push the envelope, but it's supposed to. It's not. It's an R-rated superhero show. That's like how superheroes would be in real life. They're
Oh, yeah.
dicks. You have power. Why would you like? You're a god. Why do you care?
Yeah,
Homelander.
because you know that if you're always doing something right, there's
What?
always gonna be a crowd that just doesn't like you.
Yes.
And you're like, you know what? I don't have to be nice to you. Laser eyes, all of them, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But to be a renegade, to always be a paragon, and just like be
No.
cool, set the example. You know,
So you-
humanity is not perfect.
So you pick Zelda, a show that I would love. I would love to see them try, which would be super hard, and I doubt it. Super hard to do this. It would have to be a show. It couldn't be a movie. Is Voltron.
Ooh,
I loved Voltron as a kid. Loved Voltron. Evil.
I remember Voltron.
Voltron was awesome. I know they have an animated series, and you know what? I just haven't got to it. But I'm talking about the animated series when I was a kid. Was awesome. The first one.
I'd rather trust
the 1984.
anime for adaptations than
Well, they have one.
for Voltron. I know.
Yeah, the Defender one. It's on the Netflix series.
I probably would watch it just because
It's anime too. It's Voltron Defenders of the Universe, made by DreamWorks or something. It's right down there. I see it reviews.
Any hope for Thundercats?
You know, I thought about it. It's too hard.
This is that's
You're
too
gonna have
hard.
you're gonna have a big cat. But it would be cool. Thundercats would be cool.
He-Man would be hard.
He-Man would be cool though. That would be a show. That would need to be on Max or something.
They would change his hair though. You know they would change his hair.
The wokenism would probably put in they would change him. I would hate that.
As long as it's not Netflix, because Netflix would be like, oh, blonde hair, huge white dude. No, we're gonna change it to like a big Indian or something like that.
Yeah.
You know Netflix adaptation.
It'd be Juan, 5'6" Juan.
Juan, like come on.
He-Man, you can't even pronounce, and the Master of the Universe.
I can't okay. No,
Yeah,
that's the Defender.
that's
2.
the old one.
But anyway, Voltron. I think that would have to stick to a cartoon. Honestly, there's just no way you do a live action with that one.
It'd be hard. It'd be super hard to do that because you'd have to have that technology to create the lines, the robotic line, like a big robotic line. So yeah, you have to stick it with the cartoon. What else was a cool show when we were kids? There's a
I
show.
followed up 80s cartoons.
There's a show called Mask when I was a kid in the 80s that was really good. And it was about like these Secret Service type things, and your car turned into another car. So it's almost like a Transformers type. Speaking of Transformers, there was a show called GoBots. Do you remember GoBots?
Was that right before
It
Transformers?
was like same time period as like their competitors. It didn't do as well. Leader One was a jet. Was the main good guy or whatever, and the bad guy was a motorcycle.
Remember when they tried to make a live action of Dragon Ball?
It did so
It
bad.
was so bad. I remember you and I watched it.
It
We're like,
did
we'll give it
so
a chance.
bad.
Oh man, don't
It
even
did
try.
so bad.
Don't,
I actually
don't
saw
try.
a clip of that the other day
Don't even try.
of him going to the school back then. Like, I forgot what it was. Galaxy Rangers. Never heard of that.
Neither am I. I don't know why that would be something.
Oh, there you go. Mask right there, second row.
Mm-hmm. I might as well show everyone in the audience what I'm looking at.
Yep, Mask was a legit show.
Inspector Gadget. Oh no, they made a movie with that one.
Yeah,
They made a movie. I remember. She-Ra.
I remember She-Ra. Oh, Thundar and the Barbarians. I remember that show. I loved that show.
Yeah, Thunder the Barbarians. Maybe.
Hanna-Barbera made that. It was a good show. They did Space Ghost as well.
She-Ra, is She-Ra not something right now? Not even a remake?
Yeah, they did a remake on Netflix.
Okay.
Heathcliff. I remember reading those when I was a kid. I loved Heathcliff.
Gummy Bears.
Gummy Bears. I remember that.
I remember they did a
Muppet Babies was big.
Uh,
Cops. Never heard of that. That looks like a video game, like a Sega Genesis game. Pac-Man. I remember that cartoon Pac-Man Saturday mornings. Dude, when I was a kid, my kids got ripped off. Saturday morning cartoons were legit.
Popeye. I wonder if they could remake Popeye.
Yeah, you can totally remake Popeye.
But like geared towards kids, teenagers,
You do it
adults.
both ways. Yeah, you do both. I don't know any of this stuff right here.
Remember Richie Rich.
Richie Rich was good. They did that. Macaulay Culkin was Richie Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Silverhawks. I remember that. Ninja Turtles. GoBots. See, there it is. GoBots. Oh, Galtar. That was another. I think that was another Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Hanna-Barbera used to be big time when we were kids. Flintstones was a cool cartoon growing up.
Yogi Bear. I don't know if they could do a live action on that one.
They did.
They did?
They did a live action Yogi Bear. It was horrible. And that was like
That's
10
why I
years
didn't hear
ago.
of it.
It's like a B actor comedian too who did it. I forgot what his name was.
That was probably their shot too.
Yeah, it's over. Matt, I think they could redo He-Man today, live action.
The thing is, what sucks about. Let me know what you think of this. Like all these live actions of shows from the '80s, those shows were very, I guess you could say, whitewashed. Like most of those characters were white characters, and then they try to adapt them. They're like, you know what? Instead of this character, they're all white. Instead of it all being white, let's change this one character black, this other one Latino, and then people say this is woke.
Oh, it's woke.
They get frustrated that what they grew up with is changing. Instead of just focusing on like redoing things, how about we just create new content with diversity instead of just forcing diversity to what we grew up with?
Well, it's like that. There's a joke back in the day where there's a American ambassador was riding with some guy in the Middle East, some Middle Eastern prince, and he was showing him around the U.S. and the Middle Eastern prince was like, "Hey, I love America. You know what I love? I love that show Star Trek. I love how there's all this diversity. There's you have your Klingons, this and that, but on the show you have blacks, Hispanics, you have Asians, you have Russians, you have all these different ethnicities. How come there's no Middle Eastern people on that show?" And the American diplomat looks at him and goes, "You do know that show's about the future, right?" Like, wow, there's no Middle Easterners in space. It is a joke though. But besides that,
That was so tasteless. How dare you?
I know I'll get in trouble for
How
that.
dare, we're getting canceled now.
Yeah, my 15 listeners, yay! Just kidding. But going back to what you were saying, I wouldn't mind if they changed some characters, but like the new Snow White movie coming out, I heard it's gonna be like Snow White and the 7 magical beings instead of dwarfs.
I thought that was a joke this entire time.
And that I just can't. I saw a thing on Pierce Morgan. He had one of the dwarfs that's in Hollywood, and he was so pissed off because they didn't ask any of the dwarfs if they wanted to be in the movie. I guess because the guy that did Game of Thrones, Peter whatever, he said that he would not do Snow White and 7 Dwarfs. It's below them. It's whatever. And the guy was like, "Why didn't they ask us? It's not below us. We're not getting jobs. How come we're not doing one of the most
I'm starting to think that Hollywood's going to end up falling apart, and there's going to be another city that takes it over. Because they do a lot of filming on like places like Atlanta, some places in Texas.
I think Texas would be the next Hollywood.
I think filming is going to die in Hollywood just because they force so much
BS.
unwanted BS on us.
Yeah.
Like woke culture, cancel culture. It's like enough.
Yeah.
So I think people are just kind of done with it.
I think cancel culture hurts comedians the most because they can't tell the jokes they want to tell.
The successful ones are the ones who do.
Yeah,
They challenge the
like Dave
cancel
Chappelle.
culture.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then you got all these people pissed off. It's like, dude, are you serious? Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like one of my favorite things is I saw it. And I'm just gonna throw you on the bus. You sent me this thing about there's more than two genders. Mm-hmm. That T-shirt says, "Go ahead and order now." There's more than two genders on this T-shirt. That's what it says. There's more than two genders. But when you order it, it asks you if you want a men's or a women's. And I was like, what? That like there's more than two genders, I thought. But another show that they did a live action, Gem and the Rockers.
I don't know
It's
that
like our sisters used to watch Gem. That's the only reason I know about Gem. Because I see it on here too. I see Gem, 80s cartoons, the first one. Rainbow Bright was another one that they used to watch. Care Bears. There's so many. The 80s were the best for cartoons. 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Saturday morning, so I'd wake up, 6 a.m., the first cartoon starts. And it goes to like 10:30, 11. It was every Saturday morning. It's like the best.
Saturday morning cartoons were awesome.
Yeah,
I
they don't
watched
have
so
that.
much X-Men.
They don't have that anymore. It's over. It's like, and then not just that. It wasn't just one channel. It was 3 different channels had Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, everything's on demand now.
Yeah.
So why even get?
Well,
up in the
that's
morning?
different now. But when it wasn't that way, it's like a simpler life. It was better. You had the Smurfs, the Snorks.
You always had something to look forward to. That's what it was.
Yes, just like watching Friends or NBC Thursday nights.
That build up of anticipation.
Yeah.
Right?
Now everything's on demand. You can stream anything and watch anything anytime. It's like cool.
Is it good?
I can.
Bad? I don't know.
This is like, remember, this before you can record, and the only time you could is you set your VCR to record it for you, and then you could watch it later. But now you can just, I already have it on DVD, on DVR, on my.
You don't even need
YouTube.
a DVR now. There's cloud services that just
They have
if
it.
you want to watch it.
You can watch it on
Something
YouTube.
10 years ago.
you know?
Here you go.
I
Like
just-
Sons of Anarchy. Like it was a show from 2008. I could just boop Hulu.
Yeah,
It's all there.
it's so crazy. But I don't know. Technology is good and bad, I guess, in both sides.
I think technology is just moving too fast.
We're moving too fast.
Cause like, it's just like right now, like old people, they can't follow technology today. We're
It's too fast.
we're gonna end up like that. Like
One
20
day.
years from now, it's like technology moved way fast for us. How am I supposed to do this now? Oh, it's like this, Grandpa. It's so easy. Why can't you figure it out? I'm like, dude, this is different. My technology was different.
Yeah.
For me, it was easier. Now it's like more complicated. It's like, no, it's not.
How do I pay for this? Dad, just put your wrist up on the scanner. What do you mean put my wrist on the scanner? Like, no, it's the mark of the beast.
Just get the chip. Get the mark of the beast, Dad.
Get the
Gosh.
chip. It's so much easier. Yeah. How do I know it's not going to poison me?
666 is not a devil thing.
So-
Gosh,
so-
damn it.
Back to the chip. Don't know everywhere you are.
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole reason to get the chip.
You know, yeah. I mean, it could be anything, right?
I mean, think about it. If you had the chip,
Why is the limit there? They know where you are, this and that. It could be so much
it
more.
can listen to you.
Listen to you. Knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're not a bad person, you don't have nothing to worry about.
But then you have the social score, right? They're going to start creating the social
Gosh,
score.
that's like the Black Mirror.
That's Black Mirror.
You've seen that episode, right?
You have the chip, so you say something bad, you lose points.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven forbid you're a single dude or whatever, and you rub one out. It's gonna know, and you're gonna lose so many scores because porn's like, this guy's watching
This
porn.
guy's
Let's go ahead and knock out 30 points off him.
Chronic masturbation disorder.
Yeah, he can't travel. Like in China, if you
You
on
can't
social,
travel, yeah.
you can't travel outside your district if whatever. Like you ever see those 15-minute cities that they're doing in
I've
other
heard
countries?
of it. Can you explain that?
They're good and bad. Basically, everything that you need to survive in a society is within a 15-minute walk from your house. Right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, if it's 15 minutes from my house, how is it from a house that I have to walk 15 minutes to? Is it still 15 minutes for them as well? But I guess it is. And there's another country trying to do one where like it's like a wall, and everything is stacked up. So everything you need is up or below you.
So, I mean, this is the thing with transportation that Elon Musk talked about, that we still live in like this two-dimension world of transportation,
Mm-hmm.
but we live in a three-dimension society. Like things are up. That's why we have such congestion and traffic, because, you like you can be in a 100-story building. It has everything you need inside. It has your grocery store. It could be where
Yeah.
you live, all of this. But the moment you need to travel somewhere, you're stuck in this 2D space because you can't technically fly on your own.
Correct.
So you're always gonna be stuck in this traffic. And it's like trying to solve the problem with traffic. I mean, that's why he's trying to do tunnels. You do 100 tunnels, but underneath, stacked on top of each other. I mean, the Earth is big.
Can you imagine getting stuck in a tunnel though? I'm sure they'll have to find a reason, something, a safety
It'd be like getting
precautions.
stuck in the middle of the ocean, right? Your boat dies or something, and you're stuck out there. So what
Yeah.
do you do? Like, how do you get a backup battery or something?
I don't know. Batteries. That's another thing. I have a buddy that's told me about how much money that Ford lost on that Ford truck,
Mm-hmm.
like billions.
Well, I'm sure because they cut down the prices by 10,000, and apparently they're selling 6 times more. So maybe they're still trying to figure out the balance. They could still be losing money on it until they figure out a better battery technology that's cheaper and more efficient.
I have a buddy at the gym was telling me that he bought one, and he's pissed off because no one told him that if he tows his boat, he only gets 70 miles on a full charge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, no one at the dealership knew that. No one tells you that if you're towing something, that's why you get a truck, so you can tow stuff, that if you have something heavy, you lose your
Well, it's the
range.
same concept that you fill the tank of your truck, you're gonna have less miles per gallon if you're towing something.
Correct. So why wouldn't you think that about electricity?
Mm-hmm.
But if you only get 70 miles on a charge, that means there better be a charge at the lake. And it takes forever to charge your car.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're trying to solar power that, which is gonna give you like 1%.
It's
Well, here's the thing. Like, ever since the combustion engine has been around, there's been over 100 years of innovation. It's been better. But now, there's only been about, what, a decade for
Electric.
battery power, for electric, right? Or hybrid power.
yeah.
So, I say just let it innovate and let the best companies succeed.
Yep.
Right now, it's Tesla, because it was Nissan who came out with the first, like, mainstream.
The Leaf.
Yes. I'm happy you caught on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Then Tesla was like, well, we can do it better. And they did.
Chevy came out with the Volt, I think,
I think the Volt
and
is
the
a Volt.
Prius.
Well, the Prius is a hybrid,
Oh, Prius is a hybrid, yeah.
and that's a good technology too, because you get more range.
Oh, yeah. The new Priuses look actually pretty nice.
Yeah, they don't look. I don't know. They look better.
Yeah, they're
I'd
better.
never liked the body style of the Prius.
The Prius is an ugly car. I would never get a Prius. But the newer ones, I saw one in California, and I was like, hey, that's actually a pretty nice looking car. I still wouldn't get it. When we were in Dallas, I let my son pick out the car at the rental place, and he picked out a Kia Soul. You ever see those before?
I would have to look at it.
Like, it was a fun car. I'm not gonna lie, it was different, but I wouldn't buy one.
For me, I'm not saying it because I have a hybrid. I like redundancy for hybrid. If your ability to run on fuel dies, you have your battery. If your ability to run on battery dies, you have your fuel. So I like redundancy. It's like a backup plan.
Oh,
That's
so
how
the
you fix
Prius
it.
changed in 2023.
Just now, yeah, it was recent.
I like them. They look nice.
Yeah, they look better. I'll give them that. I
How
need
much
some
gas? How much do you get? How much miles per gallon? If you get 40 to 50, that's legit. It doesn't look bad at all, dude. If you get a brand new one, 57
up to
miles.
57. So
Sign me up. They have an all-wheel drive too.
mhm.
Look at that. Go scroll down again. That looks nice, dude. That looks sporty.
I want to show it. Yeah, I gotta get the audience on this.
Dude, I think I would get a Prius. Not the boxy one. The back does look like it's all right.
It's a better version of what they had. They still have that. What is it? It's like hatchback.
Look at that. Like see-through
More
roof.
sunroof. I like that.
That looks pretty legit.
I'm surprised there's no,
I'm glad they
because like
made a feature.
hybrids, they recharge the battery on motion basically, right? It's So it recharges as long as the car's in motion.
Yeah.
It recharges. I'm surprised there's no like solar panels of like on the hood of the car or the
Who knows?
roof,
Who
or
knows?
it's like a solar technology. It's not like the one we see like on roofs today. It's just like
Yeah.
a different technology, a different look, something that can capture the sun rays and the heat to recharge the battery. At least give it something. So
Yeah.
when you have it parked, at least you get like an extra 10% juice or something.
It looks good. It looks good. I like it.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean,
Chevy has a car called the Chevy Trax. That's a small compact car that I kind of like. I kind of dig that. It's cheap and it gets good gas mileage.
called Chevy Trax.
Yeah, like the older I get, like I care about mileage and instead of looks and gas. But the Chevy Trax kind of cool. I was looking. Obviously, the reason why I'm looking at cars are Honda Pilot's like on its last leg.
Oh, right.
And-
Well, you see, this is more SUV-ish.
Yeah.
So I see it.
It looks cool. It's a small SUV,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see myself driving that.
How was it on MPG?
I think it's
You
pretty
remember?
good. But the inside looks cool. It's
That looks really nice.
like look how big that is. It's like a smaller version of the Blazer.
Did I miss it on
The new
specs?
Chevy Traverse looks really good too. It's a small version of a Yukon.
So what do you guys think
Or the
now,
Tahoe.
since your pilot's on the way out?
I don't know. I might get another Pilot. The new Pilot's pretty legit. But if we're gonna save money, I think a Chevy Trax would be good. I mean, they start cheap compared
They
to
do
like.
start cheap, huh?
Oh yeah.
I wish you would give me more.
More info on the gas mileage and
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
trying to find what's
But
it
they're
called?
nice. I would get the 1RS version for sure is the one I would get, or 2RS.
Oh, here we go. Fuel efficiency. Not terrible.
It's not it's SUV, so 30 miles up to 30 miles, not bad.
Mm-hmm. So combined, yeah, 30 mpg. Not terrible. I mean,
I was
not
about
hauling
32.
anything or anything. It's
No,
just-
it's a small SUV. You're just driving it.
I mean, they're still trying to push cars to be minimum 35 mpg by the next 10 years.
I would love that, especially SUVs like Tahoes and Yukon. But Tahoe and Yukon, they're fun and stuff, but real spacious when you travel. But like we like to go to California a lot, and those are small parking lots, man.
I know driving a big truck
Yeah, and
inside a city it's annoying. It is, especially
Especially-
trying to park or in a parking garage.
especially going to the beach and trying to get into those small areas sometimes.
We talked about this. I have zero desire to have a truck unless I'm like using it for
Oh.
hauling or working.
Pull up 2024 Chevy Colorado. I lied. This is another car that I'm looking at maybe getting. I'm not big on the big trucks because they're too big. They're just too big.
Even Colorados are getting bigger. They
This
used
is
to be
look
smaller.
how
Oh, I've
legit
seen them on the road. They're nice.
they look beefier too. Definitely looking at a 2024. The 23s are the last year. This is the older version. That one might be the newer. That's the new
that's
one.
definitely
That's the new
new.
one. The 24s are the new ones, and they're so legit.
And then you have to look at like, WT. Well, the LT has more. Shoot, the Trail Bus has more, and it costs more. And you're like, oh gosh, where does it even end?
Yeah, fuel you're at 20. It's just like my Pilot, but that is a cool looking truck. I think the Trail Boss is the highest I would go. ZR2 is such a nice one. Such a nice one. Those things are so nice. My buddy has a ZR2.
ZR2, yeah.
That thing is wicked cool. That's a beefy truck.
You say it starts at 48,000, but
No,
by the time
it's
you
like
get the
70.
dealership, yeah.
Yeah, and plus right now with dealerships, they mark up their cars way more than MSRP. It's a whole thing with them. They're doing it on purpose.
Yeah. I wonder, because if you go to a dealership, you get the same exact truck, same specs, will you get the same deal at the next dealership? That's what I hate. It's like, just
They're
give
all
me the
different.
best possible price.
No, it's just they gotta make
No,
a profit.
they gotta make their
They gotta try to
commission.
squeeze as much as
Yeah, but they're making the commissions by.
because there's people that go there and like, oh,
Freaking-
there's a sticker price. I want this. I want this. I want this. They get excited.
Mhm.
They want those people, not the savvy person that's like, what's MSRP on this? Okay, well, give me 10% under MSRP.
And then you have the conversation, then you're negotiating, then you have to do the thing where you look like you're pissed off, you walk
like
up,
this.
and they're chasing you.
Sir, how much do you want to pay a month? Oh, okay, 700. I can get you there.
Actually, yeah.
96 payments.
That's where they make them a lot of the money now is it's not by all cash buyers. They could care less about all cash buyers. It's about the people who
No,
finance.
they want people that finance and they
Mm-hmm.
want okay, they want to push it out and they get as much money as they can. But especially if you're like bad credit, yeah, I'll charge you 16% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like we got our Honda Civic at 1.9. I thought it was the greatest price, and then found out my wife paid it off. I'm like, why would you do that? 1.9,
You'll save a little bit
like
in the long. I mean,
is a tiny fraction. It was like $1,500 over the life of the loan.
mm-hmm.
I would rather have that money on the sidelines in case something happens, or if there's a big dip in the market, I'm buying all this stock or whatever, right? But I don't know. Speaking of stock, what's the hot stock right now?
Just stick with your
Tesla,
Teslas, your
blue chip. So you're saying blue chips,
Nvidia, was it AMD,
Alphabet.
Microsoft? Those they're just steadily growing up. I mean, if everyone's trying to gamble right now, trying to find a hot stock that squeezes up and then sell and before it goes
What's
down.
the hottest penny stock? I mean, that's like, come on.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you're holding on to this stock for this one moment for it to shoot up, and then it's going to go down again.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give any investment advice. Screw that. Because then people will come back. You said this, and now I'm broke. I don't want to be that person. But anyway, we've been at this for a while. We got 2 guests coming up.
All right. Well, shoot. Let's go ahead and shoot our guest here, and let's get Chris on the line here.
So
He's
Chris,
patiently waiting. So we'll be right back with Christian Gaeta, Centennial wide receiver coach. All right, here we go. A good friend of mine for 25 plus years. That's crazy, right? When you think about it, 25 plus years. Chris Gaeta is in the house. We're not in our house, but he was good enough to jump on when I asked, and we're going to use and abuse him. We're going to ask him some tough questions, and we'll go from there. But he's a coach at Centennial, so he's perfect for this, has a lot of NFL and pro knowledge. And Chris, go ahead and just real quick elevator speech. Tell us a little bit about Chris Gaeta.
Just a nerdy guy. I'm a receivers coach at Centennial High School. I've been coaching since 2004, so that's like a long time. Coached at a few different high schools. But yeah, I'm at Centennial High School. Definitely my favorite place I've coached thus far.
What are all the schools that you were coaching at? I know you were coaching somewhere before that.
I was at Chavez before that, and then before that,
That's a rough school, ain't it?
rough is like
Like,
area.
yeah.
I love that school. I mean, the kids there are great. As an air, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. But I love those kids. I like that, and I love working at Chavez. I stopped working there because of the pandemic. So they shut down the season, and then it was a whole mess over there. So that pretty much ruined that program at Cesar Chavez. So
What's
if that didn't, go ahead.
so far to date, though, when you started coaching, tell us like your beginnings, like where you started off. Where did you find this love of coaching, and how has it progressed from there?
Well, I play. I mean, I obviously played college football, and then when I finished college, I started working at the Boys and Girls Club, and then I started coaching a youth basketball team, co-ed, and I enjoyed working with the kids, And then my buddy Chris McDonald, who is now the head coach at Basha, myself, and another coach. I won't use his name. I just don't want to put him out there. We were coaching the Mesa the Warbirds Pop Warner team. This was 2004.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I started coaching with him, and that was we started together. So that was good times, good kids too. I think they were ages. I think they were 12, and then the next year we moved up. Actually, maybe they were 13, and then the next year they were 14, something like that. But yeah, so I've always had a passion working with kids. So, in college, I worked at the after school programs. And at one point, I thought I'd want to be a teacher until one of the teachers told me, don't be a teacher. We don't get paid anything. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, definitely. I definitely enjoy working with the athletes and the other coaches too. Um, they sacrifice a lot and you know, money, time, all those things to make sure these young men and women, you know, um, become better citizen people, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, I know that the community took a hit a couple weeks ago. Remember that was he a wide receiver that drowned in the lake?
Oh, Chavez.
Yeah.
I think he was a defensive back, but nonetheless, yeah, that was a huge deal. I don't want to comment too much on that. But yeah, that was a real shock to the community and the program. And yeah,
Super sad. I saw that and I thought about you because that was the school you were at for a minute.
yeah.
So
Um, well, yeah, well, players that I've coached, yeah, it's all I have ties to all that. So, but yeah, so it's definitely a sad situation.
so
Um,
who is the main competitor that you guys every year have to beat? Who's your like nemesis? You know, you got Red Sox versus Yankees.
yeah,
You know, who's Centennial's team that they have to beat that you guys do not like?
I think we respect everybody. I don't think we don't like anybody. I'd say Liberty High School though
Liberty?
is a team. Yeah, they're a top team that I would I don't know if we'd say rival because well, yeah, I guess you could say rival, but they're the team that we look forward to playing the most. And any of the top teams, Hamilton, Chandler, Basha, Saguaro, uh, all those teams we get up for.
Hey, explain the league. Now there's up to 6A, but now there's an open division. What's the open division mean?
So so basically they put how I can put it is so Saguaro was just dominating everybody, and I think they were in a 4A, and Centennial was in the same boat. So they made, I believe, the open division, so those schools which could compete against the bigger schools, that were winning, like the Hamiltons and the Chandlers. So basically the open is from 4A to 6A. They take the best teams, right? The best eight teams, and they put them together, and they have the open playoff championship. And then the 4A, 5A, 6A, they still have the state champions. But the best teams out of those, and I'm not sure if there's a bunch of 4A teams that have made it. I know there has been, but pretty much it's mostly 6A teams, a couple of 5A, because the 6A is it's just a different beast, man. Just, the kids, go to school there on purpose to play football,
Oh yeah.
so as some of these destination schools.
So really, the 6A, 5A champions aren't really the best team because the best teams
Uh,
are in the open.
well, I don't want to take anything away from those that, you know what I mean? I don't want to take anything away.
Yeah,
But they're probably the best team that didn't get into the open when it's all said and done.
when it opened up, yeah.
Well, like say Highland last year should have been in the open. They won the state championship. And who knows if they played in the open, who knows what they could have done, because at that point, if you get hot, you can make a run. So, I don't
So
want to go ahead.
if you're like Highland, you win the state championship at 5A or 6A, whatever. Is that an automatic bid to the open to the next year?
No, it's not. I mean, that's interesting though that you said that.
It's almost like they should be. It should be an
Right.
invitation to the open. The open's the bigger
Right,
championship.
but what if you had like 30 seniors, and then all
Oh,
of
you decline the invitation, right? If all your seniors
yeah,
are gone, you won because you have a team that's 90% starting
oh,
seniors. Like
why not go 10 teams instead of eight?
I would go higher than that. I think I would go 16 teams.
Six,
Throw an
six.
extra round. Throw an extra round, or keep it at 8.
I don't think there's that many schools that can compete at. It's just at another level. Like there's just 6 to 8 schools that just
Yeah.
play at a different level.
Or why don't we have the open after all the championships are over?
That's a lot. Well, that's a lot of
But
games for the
that
kids, man.
it
Like
is for the
beat
kids,
up,
but
man.
you're right, and there's more chance of injuries and stuff. I know that story,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that would be pretty amazing, I think. But you're right.
Well,
Football is not a sport like baseball or basketball where you can play extra games. I mean, football is brutal. You're right. There's extra injuries, and then if there is an extra injury, it's because you added extra games. So I get it.
Look, I'm for whatever format they put in front of me. You know what I mean? Whatever, we'll play it. So that, you know what I mean? It is what
Yeah,
it,
100%.
but I think the eight teams usually are, I think, I don't know, they do it off computer, you know, algorithm statistics. I don't know really why Highland didn't make it. And another team, ALA, made it, and I think they were 5A, and they would have, or 4A, one of the two, but they would have won the state championship. They were awesome. And so I feel like you could be able to decline, but you know, they showed a lot of grit and competed against Basha, gave them a good game,
So
you know.
teams like ALA, they don't have they can't decline. They have to go to the open.
See, I don't know about that, but
That'd be
it
crazy.
should be, you know, because why not win the state championship? You know,
Well, as
because
a coach, I'd rather win the state championship than take my 4A team and play against better competition and get smoked.
so you'd rather win the whole thing than go get beat up
Yeah, I'd
against.
rather if I was a 4A team, I would rather stay in my division
Absolutely, I agree with
and
that.
play.
4A, yeah.
Maybe,
5A, no, 5A. There a lot of those 5A teams could beat 6A teams. You know.
oh, that's a different
Yeah.
story. 5A team, I would probably say, you know what? I'm one of the better 5A teams. I'll take a chance. But if I'm
I
a dominating 4A team and I know I'm going to win the state championship,
agreed.
I don't want
Agreed.
someone telling me you have to play up. Like,
No, I agreed. Agreed. I get it. I understand. I think you're right.
you know, it's kind of like some of these like baseball leagues and stuff that you want to play with your buddies growing up, but then they're like, "Hey, you're too good. You got to play up an age group or two." You know, it should be up
Absolutely.
to the parents. It should be the parents' decision. Some parents would be like, "Yeah, you know, I think I have the next Bryce Harper," but a lot of parents are like, "No,
All parents think they have the next Bryce Harper.
oh,
Trust me.
100%. I'd rather have my son. Hey, I'd rather him enjoy this sport and play with his friends than playing with a bunch of older kids that he's not going to have fun with."
Talking about the youth level.
Yeah, youth level.
Agreed. 100%.
You know,
They get up when they get up a little bit older and they show really what they can do. Well, usually those kids are approached by youth coaches that put, you know, these colossal teams together, and then, you know, they battle it out. It's kind of like a weird thing
yeah.
on the youth level.
No,
So
it's crazy because that's what happened to Danny. I remember when I took him to his tryouts,
yeah,
the coaches were like, "No, he has to play up." I'm like, "He's not big enough. He's 10 years old. You want him to play with 12 and 13-year-old kids? Like, he doesn't know anyone. You know, he wants to play with his friends." And they made him. Like, I talked to the commissioner,
uh-huh.
Chandler Youth Baseball. And he's like, "No, he has to play up. He's too good to play against that talent." I'm like, "That's the stupidest thing I ever heard." You know, but you know, obviously this
We're
was
talking baseball here.
yeah, we're talking baseball.
Yeah, I get both sides, man. I get that he wants to play with his buddies, and I also
Yeah.
get they want him to play up, and it might help him at
Oh,
that level for the future.
yeah. Then his coach was like, I think your coach had he had 2 or 3 kids on the team. They played the main positions and they made him play right field because he's the shortest kid and bat ninth. It's like, that's not fair. And he ended up having more hits than most of the kids on the team. It's like crazy.
Yeah, no, dude, I get it, man. I get it.
But it is what it is. Before we jump into other stuff, like I want to talk about Pac-12, obviously, but a lot of people that don't know Chris Gaeta, you were in New York a lot. You used to go fly out there all the time. I used to see your social media and stuff, and you know, hung out with all these celebrities and stuff. Tell me the biggest celebrity you hung out with, and if there's any of them that you ever got starstruck.
That's like another lifetime ago.
It was a lifetime.
What genre? Like, are we talking athlete? Or are you talking like
Any.
uh I hung I hung out with Madonna one time in a lounge in New York City. I didn't like she was there with some people on it was the weirdest thing. She was pretty cool. I wasn't starstruck. I was more just like like no, I mean kind of crazy. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty big. You know, I mean I can name some other people, but I'll just start with her. But she ended up being really cool and definitely a sassy woman.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember we used to back in the day when we used to go out.
Yeah.
Geez, let's say early 20s, mid 20s.
Hmm.
We went to Access Radius for a while, and this is before he got big again. But do you remember when we used to hang out with Mike Tyson back in the day? Like handful of times. It's not like we
Yeah,
hung out with
yeah,
him because he wanted to hang out with us.
yeah,
Our buddy, rest in peace, Danny Reynolds was
yeah.
our, he's a trainer, the head trainer where I worked at. He invited us up to, Access Radius because he used to train the GM. And I remember coming up the
You
stairs at
can say, yeah,
VIP
yeah. You could say Mike Tyson hung out with us when he was in here. Yeah,
Why
it's
was he
fine.
hanging out with you guys?
because he knew the owner or the owner of Access Radius and the GM of Access Radius. So they brought him on to hang out. So when he was in the valley, he was always at Access Radius or the other place next door. I forgot what it was called. But I remember going up the stairs and you intercepted me and you're like, "Hey, don't get don't get starstruck." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I turn around, I see Mike Tyson, and I swear I almost peed. Like I was like, "That's Mike Tyson." Like I was a big fan of his back in the
Yeah,
day.
I didn't tell you not to be starstruck. I said don't act like an asshole.
Well, yeah, that is what you said, but I didn't want to. I wanted to keep it PG. But yes,
Oh, but yeah, I used to see him like every weekend was at our table and just rapping out, which was weird when being a 22, 23-year-old kid,
Uh,
seeing the champ was hanging out with you. But yeah, that's like a different lifetime, man. So that was
was he like intimidating? Because I've never met him in person.
no, no.
No, gosh,
he's
I,
I mean,
actually
yeah,
really
yeah,
cool.
not like yeah, if you see him, yeah, but not when he starts talking to you, just rapping out and just joking around and stuff. He's just a
okay.
cool
I
dude.
do remember a lot of people giving him dirty, trying to like intimidate him or give him
Well, that's
dirty looks.
because
I'm like,
remember he went through all that stuff and like he was like people thought he was like on a downward spiral before he, you know, redeemed himself and, kind of resurrected himself or whatnot. So he wasn't the popular dude anymore. He was like, the cast off.
that's
He was
exactly right. He
cool,
was
man.
like a cast
I
off.
don't not to me, he was I remember I cried when he lost to Buster Douglas when I was like in elementary school. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
he was like that was my dude. So but it was
But it
kind of
was cool. It was cool to rap with him, talk to him, and just like it took me a minute to finally acknowledge him, right? Because I didn't want to be like, "Oh, hi, Mike." Like I was worried about my first words I'm going to say to Mike Tyson, right? But he always had that black leather jacket with a big tiger on the back, you
yeah,
know, and he still had that star power. I mean, all the bouncers were like super cool to him.
sure.
I have a million stories, but out of respect, I don't want to say them because they're
Mm,
too wild. People won't believe them, except you,
yeah,
because you were there. But
yeah,
dude, the guy was awesome, like
yeah.
super cool dude.
Yes. Agreed.
But he's been through so much. Danny's like, hey, we should hit him up. I'm like, he will not remember us. Like we were a blip in his life. Like it was a
Like hit
good.
him up now. You mean like hit him up now?
Yeah, hey, let's do a podcast. Remember we used to hang out back in the
Oh,
day? It'd be
dude,
like
no,
I hung out with a lot of dudes. Like he's not gonna. There's nothing
no.
that stood out about us that he wasn't doing every other city. Like
Mm, I disagree.
Please
Uh,
elaborate.
I don't really like look at like some of those. I'm not, there's normal people. I don't, it is, he's a
he
good,
might then, yeah. In that case,
yeah. So, but yeah, I remember there's a lot other people too. I remember along the way. So, um, definitely a good dude. Speaking of that, you guys watch that fight last night?
oh, let's talk about that. I didn't see it. He did. How was it?
I thought it was a good fight. I mean, it went the distance. I thought one of them was going to get knocked out. Well, actually, I don't even know now. Like, are these guys taking a dive on purpose? But
I would hate to find out that they are.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't think that's the case. Like that Jake Paul kid can box. Obviously, he's a tough dude. Everybody's like, oh, he's a YouTuber. So, I mean, whatever. He was a
I give
YouTuber,
I give
and
him
now he
mad
can box.
respect.
He's a tough dude. You know, so he's making his money, and I think he's helping others make their money too.
Oh, he's making everyone he fights. They're making a ton of money more than they
Yeah,
did in
That
UFC.
isn't that the whole point? It's just it's all a big money grab. Yeah, they're actually going to fight, but it's all a
yeah,
big money grab because he's not fighting in like a division, like in the weight
right.
class, like competing to people to move up. It's just like I'm gonna fight former UFC fighters who are no longer in it anymore and box instead of MMA fight.
But yeah, but tough ones nonetheless. You know,
Yeah,
but they're not boxers by any
not
means.
boxers and they're not in the prime.
When they're able to beat Jake Paul in their sport, no, easily. right?
Yeah,
Using
absolutely.
their legs and submission and all that. Yeah. So I think that he's in a his different he's in a different tier where he can fight some guys from the UFC who don't necessarily have the boxing training, but he can get them paid. He can get paid and hype it up or however. But you saw he lost that fight to Fury, right? He lost that fight. And that guy's a pro fighter, right? The younger brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. He fought that guy pretty good, right?
Well, I worry that someone like him, like big old influencer, millions, that doesn't
Yeah.
fight in the division against people competing their way up. He could just get a ticket to the top and fight for the belt.
I don't want to see that.
I don't think anyone does, but it could have. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. It would just make a lot of money.
I want to see
yeah,
that.
but that once he gets beat up real bad, that's going to end the money grab, right? Because nobody's going to see him anymore. You know,
That's true.
He's going to get beat up like he beat up what was that kid's name? The basketball player Nate Robinson.
Oh, he did him dirty.
Dude, that was the worst thing ever.
I can't believe Nate got in there. Like he probably thought I can box, and he just got.
I think anybody would have got in there at that point, not knowing what you know what I mean?
Or at least a bout fight, maybe. I mean, see if he'll ever step in for a bout fight.
Against who?
The next runner-up for any of the belts, because it's like 5 different boxing leagues.
I don't think Jake Paul could beat any professional fighter.
No, because
maybe an older one, maybe an older guy.
Not even older. Not even older.
He says he wants to be the champ by 2026 or something like that. He just tweeted this.
He can create his own belt and be the champ. Like it doesn't matter. He makes so much money. Why do you care?
The money grab belt.
Yeah, let him fight all these dudes that don't have the boxing pedigree but have names.
Well, he should probably fight. He should probably fight that Fury guy next for a rematch, and then maybe McGregor. I think people watch that because they're both loudmouth.
The McGregor Paul fight would be big.
No, the McGregor one would be good because
McGregor can box though.
Well, here's the thing: like the McGregor and the Floyd Mayweather fight. Like, yes, McGregor is a fighter, but he is an MMA guy. And when you go up and if you're going against a boxer and the rules are boxing, those boxers, like that's their world. They know everything about boxing. They polished it so well. And you bring in an MMA guy, yeah, they have some aspects of MMA, but it doesn't mean they're gonna be as sharp.
Right. Well, I saw the McGregor Mayweather fight. He looked pretty sharp.
He looked great, I thought.
Yeah, I think that would be the one.
I wouldn't say he was good, but not professional boxer good. Like he had some.
I'm just trying to remember how it went. I think McGregor was like being the more aggressive fighter, and Floyd was just taking it for a few rounds, and then Floyd just let him have it.
Well, Floyd Mayweather has stellar defense.
Stellar.
Well, he's the greatest, like ever.
Stellar.
You know, I mean, arguably. So, but I mean, I'd buy the McGregor Paul fight.
100%. I'd be over there too, watching it with you.
And that's probably the last fight McGregor would ever have to fight because it doesn't seem like he wants to do any fighting any MMA.
For the fight yesterday, they said that Nate Diaz and Jake Paul, they'll do an MMA fight next.
Oh, no way. Jake would be stupid. Yeah. Jake would be stupid.
Oh,
it was like a $10 million thing.
It's like I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough for Paul to get beat up.
Not just beat up, end his career, end period. Dude, Nate would put him to sleep.
Too dangerous with his legs and I'm not a MMA analyst or anything. I just think that'd be too dangerous.
Way too dangerous for Jake. Way too dangerous. I respect Jake 100%. You keep doing what he's doing. The one thing I didn't think was real was Logan Paul versus Mayweather.
You didn't think it was real?
Well, I think Mayweather knocked him out and held him up. If you remember watching the fight,
I didn't watch the fight. I really haven't tuned into Jake Paul until recently. You know, after he started winning, because I just wasn't serious. I thought it was a joke. You know, so
he can box for sure.
100% he can box,
and he does look better each fight. I'll give him that. He's still young.
Absolutely.
He's still at a great age.
No, he has my attention. He has my attention. But let's see some better opponents. That's all.
Chris, are you into MMA?
I'm pretty much into MMA, boxing, all that. Yeah.
I'm
I'm out
Who's
of
a
dodge.
headliner for you right now? If you saw that they were fighting, that you're going to turn on.
Uh, what weight class are we talking?
Any weight class, just any.
Uh, I like the kid from Safford, who just
Yep.
does
Triple
he have the
G.
belt now? Yeah. And who? What was his name?
It goes by Triple G. Totally.
No, his real name. You don't know.
Yeah, we'll look it up.
So
Uh,
I'd like to
he's
see that rematch actually.
I like Jones. I like that one kid, Abayani, I think it is, that tall, lanky black dude. You got John Jones. He's a headliner.
Well, who's gonna beat him?
John Jones is a stud. Just period. Everyone said he looked out of shape last fight, and he just dominated. So
That was a quick fight, wasn't it?
yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah, Triple G came out of retirement and told Dana he wants to fight. So
If you can
Well,
stop getting in trouble with these illegal drugs, it'll be good.
yeah, it's shameful. Um,
yeah.
but I remember the old UFC man with Silva,
Oh, I love the old UFC
TJ
man.
Penn,
DJ Penn was my dude.
yeah, and ever since I don't
Ryan
know,
Bader.
Brian Bader, I mean, that guy's from Arizona.
Yeah, he used to work out at
Um,
Hamilton down the street.
yeah, so I think I'm more of an old school. Even back when Gracie was fighting, like in the beginning,
I remember watching him fight the
Chuck
first.
Liddell, Ortiz, like all those guys.
Yeah,
I,
those were
I
good
like that
fights.
era. Now it's just whatever. It's just kind of redundant, you know. So
It's almost like they go through these fighters too fast that you don't even recognize them when you see a card. You're like, who's this? Who's that?
yeah,
They don't have enough
and
history, brought up, and they don't. I don't think they do a good enough job of introducing these fighters because they cycle through them so fast.
You have to be like on top of it though to know who these people. You have to be like really, really love UFC. You can't just be a casual.
I'm a casual. Like I just watch it when I see a card. I'm like, who's this? Oh, and then someone tells me, oh, this guy's the next up and comer,
Mm,
and then he gets knocked out, and like you don't hear from him anymore. So it's a small window for these guys, unless you're dominant, like John Jones. He's been at this for a long time, and he's still crushing it. And then you got like the women now. Some of those women fights are awesome.
mhm.
yeah, those girls are wow.
They get at it. So that's some.
Yeah, I recently saw the Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Zhang Wei Li fight. If you
Oh
remember the
yeah,
first
she's
one,
good.
that was a really good one.
Yeah, they're
So
tough, for
are
sure.
you excited about NFL?
Oh, college, NFL. I'm excited for
Oh,
football.
let's go college first.
Well, yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
recent news with ASU. I don't know if you heard about that. That they're now with Big 12.
18 teams in that division.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
that's wild.
Utah, U of A, and ASU went over there.
So Pac-12/Pac-10, whatever it is
They're
now,
done.
it's
They're done.
done.
Well, the remaining teams can pick up the San Jose's and the Fresnos and stuff like that, but
But now it's like a lower tier.
it's a lower tier, 100%.
Mhm.
But this is going to be bad for ASU, Arizona, the Utah teams because these realignments good for college football, but what about the smaller sports, right? Now they have to travel. That's going to cost the school more money. Where's the school going to come up with that money? Tuition,
Tuition too.
housing, all that stuff, books, classes. ASU is going to charge more. U of A
Well, I
is going
mean,
to charge more.
I think football is going to raise a lot more money too now, though.
Well, it's
You
good that division's huge. Like there's some really good teams in that division. It's just weird. SEC has Oklahoma and Texas now. It's just college
Yeah,
football.
but I mean, look all the money they're going to make off that instead of ASU Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford's going independent,
Well,
supposedly.
right, but you know what I mean. ASU,
Texas
well,
Tech, ASU. Now you're gonna have.
huge. Those are huge games. That
Mhm.
I mean, Sun Devil Stadium is going to be just jammed now. In the future,
Yeah,
So the thing is,
there's money to be made for sure.
I guess there's money to be made, but ASU, their football program has never been that great. They've been
it's
decent.
been a long time.
Well, I mean, they've had a few. I mean, with Plummer back in the day,
Oh,
right.
that was a long time ago.
Mid-90s,
No,
yeah.
no. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see what they can do. That's all I say, and see.
I think BYU is also in that division, so it's gonna be interesting now that
Right.
BYU and Utah will not have a rivalry.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna have a rivalry anyway.
Period. But it's good to see
You
that
know?
they're gonna be in the same division now, and then with ASU too. So that's a very there's 4 conferences now, and that's it, right? The SEC, the 12,
Big
the
Ten.
10, and ACC.
Yeah.
And that's it.
With Mountain West.
Mountain West, yeah, but who's in the Mountain
No, I
West?
mean no, you know what I mean. I just mean those are the conferences. I mean, and a bunch of little conferences.
They
But
need. I think the playoffs need to be at least 8 teams, right?
what are they now?
College football. What is college football? It is. Is it 8 or is it 4?
What was the question?
I think it's 4 right now for college football.
No, yeah, it should be. No, it should. They gotta fix it. Have it. I don't know.
Maybe
Have
top 2
have the
teams in
bowl
each
game.
division.
Maybe have bowl games still, but then have each bowl game is like part of the bracket. I don't know, but and have them advance. But then you got to cut out maybe a game against a D1 AA school or a
Oh
lower tier.
no! Take the division winners of each division. The runner-up goes to the bowl game.
No, you know what I mean though. You got to shorten the season if they got to play more games in the playoffs.
Oh, U of A's joining too, right?
Yeah, U of A, ASU
Yeah.
still will have that rivalry.
Okay. They're not breaking up that rivalry. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're bringing Colorado with them? Utah, I can see.
Yeah. Well, Colorado is already there. And then
The University of Colorado, Boulder?
yeah, they
No,
no. They signed up before the announcement of those other 3 teams.
Okay.
So they left the Pac-12 before the final 3 teams said they were going.
Well, they haven't transitioned yet because it says future members of 2024.
It doesn't happen until next year, correct?
Okay.
So, damn, Chris, we're gonna have to bring you on more shows, man. Just because this isn't enough. This isn't enough time. But let's jump into NFL real quick.
Yep,
Obviously, you've been a Jets fan forever. Let's
Yes,
talk
been
about
rough.
the Jets.
it's been rough.
Go Aaron Rodgers.
Let's talk about it. I'm just as curious as you guys.
I mean, Zach.
Obviously, we know they're gonna have a good defense. Uh, Obviously, Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks ever, in my opinion. Top 10, at least.
Oh, I agree. He's still top 10 right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
In
But
the league or ever.
ever is tough. I have to get back to
I
you
mean,
on ever
in his prime.
in his
I
prime.
guess. I mean, I mean,
But you're
whatever.
not getting
One of the
Aaron
best.
Rodgers prime though, right?
Well, he's not in his prime, but he still got it.
He's still a top quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't rank him. I'm not, whatever. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what to expect. I think
Who-
the Jets will have a good season. I don't
Who
know.
the Jets have at running back?
Why are you doing this to me?
Here's the thing: Davin Cook is still out there.
No, I know. I've heard about.
Zeke Elliott
Dalvin
is still out
Yeah,
there.
but well, I think Zeke's probably doesn't have much left in the tank.
Who's the running back? You got Zach Wilson's the number 2.
Are they
Michael Carter.
Hunt, the kid from Cleveland?
Oh
Crockett.
no,
So the Jets, besides Brees Hall, who else do they have? That's one.
Israel. I can't say his last name.
go get Davin Cook. The running backs are not they're not getting paid in the NFL.
Well, their life expectancy is like what, 2-3 years?
Yeah, but they take such a beating. That position takes such a beating. Besides the offensive line, defensive line, running backs are always getting beat up.
Knight, Michael Carter. I don't know who their starter is though.
I don't know. I mean, the quarterbacks are getting paid ridiculous money. I mean, maybe you take a pay cut. I think like Aaron Rodgers did, and I mean, so how much money do you really need? 400 million? Like, and everybody else is making.
Someone just signed a big contract like that. Who was that? San
What do you
Diego
mean?
quarterback, maybe? Justin Hebert?
Mahomes got 400 million plus.
I think Justin Hebert just beat him.
No way.
Yeah. Mahomes' contract's 2 years old. These quarterbacks are getting paid like buku bucks. Joe Burrow's going to sign one that's going to be big too. I mean,
Yeah, I like Joe. Yeah.
Hebert, the set right there. You had him. I'm pretty sure he signed. He's the one that signed the contract.
Yeah. I don't know the running back, the Jets, um, besides Brees. I don't know who exactly they have, but I think a guy like Kareem Hunt, right? He's on the market, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he'd be a great running back to pick up if Hunt's out there.
But
260
is he gonna
million.
take the minimum? Is he gonna take risk his health for the I don't know
Yeah,
what they can pay.
I think these running backs should get paid, man. Even like Saquon Barkley. I'm a big fan of his. I don't like the Giants, but he's a stud.
Yeah, he got paid 11 million, right, for a year.
11, like I would think at least 15. These guys. Think about how important these guys are. Like say fantasy football, right?
Yeah.
Who gets drafted first in fantasy football? It's always running backs. You
Well,
know?
unless it's a PPR league, then
Yeah.
receivers. But I agree with you. I mean, look, it's it's shameful what these NFL some of these players are making because like NBA money is ridiculous, right?
Oh,
And
Oh,
it's not
oh,
nearly as dangerous.
let me
Uh,
let me circle back to boxing then, because the people who get paid the most are the top fighters. But in the NFL, your third stringers make at least six figures.
well, six figures today isn't gonna. I mean, I don't think is enough for I don't know. I mean for
I don't think many boxers are making six figures though, even if they have a spot in pay per view.
no, but with the no, I don't know.
well,
I
look at these players though, six figures, but half of it's taxes, depending on what
Yeah.
state you're in. Plus your PR people you have to pay, your agent. It becomes like a third of what you signed for.
I don't know. I think NFL players should make more. I mean, they put everything on the line, and these owners are making billions, billions.
Oh
It's
yeah.
kind of like the old Roman days, right, with the
Well, okay.
gladiators.
I don't know. I mean, if this source is correct, it says that the minimum salary for NFL players is $750,000.
I mean, that's a
That's
good amount of
okay.
money, but after taxes and all that, and the guy next to you in the locker room was making 15 million a year.
Well, who's the guy next to him in the locker room making 50 million? That's the guy who puts up the stats.
Yeah,
That's the probably the player other teams want. That's desirable, but the guy who makes the minimum, they just need to fill the spot.
yeah. So I would say maybe just raise the minimum.
What do they say? The best position in football is the backup quarterback because you're making 10 plus million and holding a clipboard.
That's a good. Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of longevity.
Oh
You
yeah.
know.
You're just hoping that the starter doesn't get hurt. You don't care at that point. You're making 10 million a year.
What's the toughest kicker?
Oh yeah, because
That's the
everyone
most
hates you.
stressful.
You miss that kick, everyone hates you.
But everyone hates you anyway. Like they treat the kickers bad.
Well,
I know in
speaking of
college.
kickers, you see
Yeah,
Team USA's done
yeah,
the women's and Megan Rapinoe or whatever, however you say her name. She missed the game. If she would have made that kick, they would have won.
yeah. Well, isn't it funny how life works? But she's had a great career, so it is what it is. I was gonna go out, you know, like like Michael Jordan on that last shot.
Not no one does, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
like your last game, the way you go out is the worst women's defeat in God knows how long. I can't remember. They were saying the stat, it's 30 plus years or something since women's soccer has always been dominant. They've never lost like this before. Fewest
what,
goals in a tournament, all kinds of bad stats, but
Well,
it is what it
I
is.
guess women's soccer is just progressing in the world now
Yeah,
because the U.S. used to always dominate a lot of sports.
basketball.
Right?
And now you have all these European basketball
Mhm.
players. You're like Luca
Mm-hmm.
and Joker. It was just ridiculous.
There was a time when the U.S. Olympics where Team USA didn't win.
Oh, that Team USA that they put out recently is horrible. They're not even going to medal watch.
we're all young kids, right?
They're all
What
young
about
kids.
baseball? What do you guys think about baseball's heating up, right?
Yeah, I think the Braves look dominant. The Dodgers will look good. I hate to say it, but I think Astros looked really good. They picked up Verlander. How does that happen? They pick up Verlander. The Mets, like, what
Fire
the hell are
sale?
you doing? They gave away Scherzer. They gave away Verlander.
They got some prospects. I know that.
I hate when people tell me that. Oh, you guys some prospects.
Well, what
No,
about the Yankees? The old
they're
man's turning over in his grave. Like They used to just pay big dollars to get some guys and win, and now they're just happy being just competing.
which is BS. You know, George is there, like just he would have went out and got all the star bats. You had Josh Donaldson. Their lineup is
Oh,
horrible, bro. Jake Bauers is
horrible,
starting for your team. Come on.
horrible. They could have went and picked up Keller. They could have picked up Reynolds, and he could play every outfield position. He'll give you a bat. You know, what else do they need? Another,
Reynolds would have been good for him.
yeah. Um, well, they need arms, bro. Keller's would be a good starter. I mean, they could have went and got
They would have got Verlander. The old George Steinbrenner would have. He would have got
oh yeah,
Scherzer,
he
Verlander.
would have got both of them probably.
Yeah, those were the good years when Papa Steinbrenner was there. He didn't care about the money and whatever. He's like, we're out there to win. Now the Suns, it's all business to him, right?
They're making a lot of money putting a mediocre product on the field.
Yep. All right, Chris, we got about a minute here. Let's wrap it up. But man, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring you back on here in the near future, talk more, especially during the NFL season.
Yeah, that's
Bring you
cool,
on so we
man.
can talk football.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you guys.
We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Anytime,
Take care,
guys.
Chris.
Yeah, bye, guys.
Bye. All right, we're back with Jimmy Orama, my dude over there, and we're going to talk about some good stuff today. Jimmy, what do we have on the menu today?
I don't know. I was hoping we could kind of pick apart some of the theories, if you will, or hidden truths about Antarctica.
I love
'Cause
it.
I think everyone's heard, a thing or two, and everyone has different opinions on it, and I think it's a worthy conversation. And regardless of what circles you run in, this is something that's kind of global or universal to everyone, regardless of race, political party, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think it's one of those. It's a broad conversation for an equally broad audience.
I think you're right. I think that's something that even myself have been diving through the rabbit hole. I think it's been a lot more talked about recently.
Mhm.
And real quick, we have a disclaimer. Go ahead, Danny.
Yep.
Well, my disclaimer is that I'm naturally skeptical.
He's a dick. Anyways, but yeah, he's just
It's good. That's good.
So hopefully, if I question or ask about things, don't take it personal. My intents are well and respectful.
Oh, we're all adults here. We can agree to disagree. Trust me,
Some
I
people
got
get fired
kids,
up
I
on
got
on
grandkids.
their topics. Yeah. Okay.
hey,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
I love the subject. Let's fire it up.
Okay.
Go ahead. Shoot. What do we have first?
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you share with me what your thoughts are, and then I'll share what I've heard. Because I don't want to just throw up all over you.
Oh, like I was talking to my
Yeah.
brother about it. It's like
Yeah.
it's just so weird. Like not a lot of people have went there and stuff, but then he reminds me, oh, it's just like the North Pole. It's uninhabitable, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that I've saw recently, whistleblowers, if you want to call them, on certain podcast shows, saying how it's rich in resources. There's coal, there's oil that they don't want people to know about because they would devalue, the oil and coal and all the other natural resources that we're paying for now.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other
Mhm.
camps saying there's an ice wall, and
Sure.
past the ice wall, guess what? It's another world.
Mhm.
And I'm like fascinated. I'll have this conversation because nothing in this world is what you think it is. Because obviously, we talked about this last time you're on. We're programmed by what's on TV or what the media
Mhm.
tells us to believe, what we learned in school forever. What if you woke up and realized that ain't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, and basically, I might be a little bit ahead of you, for intended reasons. I've been, really studying this stuff for a long, long time, and I've read many truths. Going back to what you were saying, I believe both truths can exist, as far as there being an ice wall, and then as far as there being additional territory. I was just reading about a week and a half ago how there's two I forgot what the name is, basically a passageway outside the ice wall, and beyond there's been documented stories about people who have traveled to these lands and met with other races, et cetera, et cetera. I think I mentioned it in the last time we spoke. There's a really good book out there called The Smoky God. And then again, there's the autobiography, the unauthorized, I believe, autobiography of Admiral Byrd. I mean, and then when you consider the Antarctic Treaty and how and when that started, and I'll just kind of plant some seeds because people really got to do their own research. But when you look at the timing as to when he went down there, and then when the three-letter agencies were started, when NASA was started, and then all of a sudden you have every country in the world agreeing that we're going to use this for science. I mean, what kind of shit is that? What science do you know? This is an actual question. What science do you know that, hey, we've been down there for 70 years doing research, and here's what we found. Here's what we got. I don't know anything. Not to say that it doesn't exist, but you would think with the level of commitment, if you will, to science, but what do we get out of it? So, there are those questions. And again, I could probably do my research and really dig and maybe find a nugget or two, but you would expect with all the time and resources that's been thrown at that place, and all the secrecy, that we would have a little bit more. That being said, in the same genre, if you will, I'll say that I do believe that there are things buried there. If you watch Corey Good, if you listen to Corey Good from the Secret Space program, have you heard of the Secret Space program? You ever heard of that? Any of you? The
Secret
20 and back?
Space
Wow.
program sounds very secret. I don't know why people like us should know about it.
Well, we can get into that. That's a whole other ball. That's a whole other can of worms. But there's been people who are in this project who are involved in top military projects and developments where they have been there to Antarctica, and they're Sean Ryan just had this guy interviewing there not that long ago. He didn't talk about UFOs per se, I believe, but I've been hearing stuff like, just like in the X-Files, like these ships that are 20, 30 miles long underneath the ice. I mean, it's crazy stuff. The information's out there, and I believe movies like and shows like X-Files, this is how they tell us. But it's easy to be dismissive because it's on TV, et cetera, et cetera. But I do believe that is a form of soft disclosure.
I mean, people can get jobs at Antarctica. They're just 6-month rotations. So if you want to go there and be a support staff, I mean, by all means, you go there and explore it for yourself. But who's to say they're taking you to Antarctica?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you can't even go there on your own. I mean, and I think we kind of touched on this the last time for a little bit. Why did all these heads of state go there? Why do all these big shots go to Antarctica? Why did John Kerry go there the day before, Hillary lost the election? What is the Secretary of State, the most powerful man, the most powerful representative of the country, doing on a sheet of ice halfway on the other side of the world on the most important day of his I mean, nobody really thinks about these things,
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then what you were saying also about additional lands, yeah, I'm a firm believer. I had read a while ago about, well, we were talking about resources, and we were talking about I was reading about oil, and how oil is actually an infinite resource. It's actually the blood of the planet, if you will.
Oh, I believe that.
And then so how this oil scarcity. I was looking at some videos. I remember when I was in college, back in the late 80s and 90s, and they were talking about peak oil. We're gonna run out of oil and this and that, and the big scare. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And I don't believe none of these meatwads. They lie about everything. They lie about everything because what they do is they promote the idea of scarcity, which kind of, since we're talking about the subject, is a dotted line to the flat Earth. Now, when it comes to the flat Earth, I never really considered the flat Earth. I mean, whatever, because I was taught what I was taught in school. But then what happened was I started to learn about natural resources, and then it kind of led into scarcity, and then it kind of talked about the whole globe model. And really, what the thesis of what I was reading at the time was how the flat Earth promotes the globe promotes the idea of scarcity. But okay, so there's that. But then when you really think about, if you're able to kind of step outside or put everything that you've ever been taught and just leave it to the side and just consider something else, because I was not a believer until I kind of put two and two together and realized there's a lot of questions that just don't make sense. A lot of them being was they did these tests. The two biggest lakes in the world, I believe it's Lake Titicaca in Peru, and this other Bashslav lake. It starts with a B. I'm going to butcher the name, but there's another lake in Russia. Now, these are the largest natural lakes in the world, spanning over 100 miles. And what they did was they did these laser beam tests on these lakes where they stood on one end and another guy went on the other end. He shot a laser beam and they were able to see it. Okay, fine. Amongst other tests, these are the ones that I first saw. So then no big deal. But then when you plug the numbers into what's called an Earth curvature calculator, it doesn't add up. And you're like, well, wait a second, then, what's wrong with that? So that was an unanswered question. That right there was something that made me think, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And then there were other tests involved. I've been on planes, numerous, over 100 times in my whole life. I've never seen a curvature. It's always like kind of like right there. When I went to Meteor Crater in northern Arizona, you look at that place. That if you think about what they're telling you, how is it that if we're spinning so fast and this and that, how's it going to be like a perfect circle? You never see that even on TV, even on Hollywood. When a meteor's coming in, it's always at an angle. But you look at that Meteor Crater, it's like boom, something dropped right in the middle and blew it
And
up.
it's perfectly round.
Yeah. So there's that. What the fuck is that? Meteor? And people don't even think about that. No one really, bothers to really think about that. So there's that. Back to the oil thing. And, the oil comes from dinosaurs. Like what a crock of shit. Have you ever seen one of these oil sheiks with a fucking dinosaur in his, think about it. That's where all the oil is. You're telling me that 50 billion dinosaurs all died in the same place? And look, I'm sure I'm being very basic about it, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I love it. You're ranting. I love it.
Just think about that. How many fucking dinosaurs are there where we're pulling 200 million barrels of oil a day? What the fuck is it?
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of oil.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And now, granted, fossil fuels does include, plants and et cetera, but it's still, they put a chink. It's a chink in their armor, and I think that there's just questions. Another thing that kind of, and again, I'm not saying that I'm a flat earther, and we'll get to that. I was also studying radars because it kind of took me down the rabbit hole. And then I was studying the strongest military radar in the world. And it was this Russian radar, this radar installation in Russia. And when I ran the numbers, and this is years ago, but I believe the distance was like to Italy. Like it could scan that far from a military perspective. Do the math, punch those numbers into the Earth curvature calculator. And again, I don't know radar, I don't know shit about radar, but if we're on a freaking globe, how the hell can you see, curve that to Italy? I'm open to answers,
I was a radar technician in the Navy.
So well, there you go.
If you like, because I worked on a radar called SPIES. It's probably the most powerful and most sensitive radar, at least in U.S. military technology, if not the world. And it's super crazy accurate. It can find like a pinhead from hundreds of miles away. And I've seen it.
Yeah.
And now a question we were asked is that if you're looking straight from ground level, you'll see as far as the horizon up to like 13, 14 miles until the curvature goes around. So how does it get around? It's a refracting of the radar in the environmentals. So there's like this ducting that the signals bounce over, up and down until it fades out. And then once you get the signal, it bounces back.
It bounces off of what?
The environmentals of the planet.
Okay, that's a bullshit answer. That's a bullshit. The environmentals of that. You know what? That's a lazy. That's with all due respect. That's not your answer. So don't take it personal. That's a lazy ass response. The environmentals of the planet. What the fuck? A tree? A rock? You're gonna tell me a rock 50 miles down the road is gonna affect this fucking rate? Get the fuck out of here. I don't
it can be seen though.
Maybe it's bouncing off something else. I don't know.
A satellite, I would think, right? Has to bounce off a satellite.
I don't know. And again, look, I have very limited knowledge. I don't know anything about this. It's just part of the questions that haven't been satisfactorily answered to me. So that's all I'm saying. I've never been in the military. I've never used a speed gun. So, full disclosure. Yeah. But once again, it just falls in that pool of questions that just don't make sense. I have never, in these labs, we duplicate all kinds of tests, right? All kinds of shit. We can, they talk about China's got a fake sun.
I heard about that.
I have never in my life, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen anyone duplicate water on a ball.
Duplicate water on a what?
On a ball. How do you, you know? I've never seen that duplicated. We duplicate a lot of shit. How come no one duplicates that? To prove that, you know, I don't know. Look, I'm just saying it's one of those things, you know. So along the same lines, I wanted to share with you, if you don't mind, this book that
No,
I
no.
had
This is your segment, so let's go.
that I had read. That's a lot of pressure, man. So you're saying,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
yeah. So let me show you this book that I'm into. Let me go back here and share my screen. And you know, this is something that I had read, and I was really excited to read this book. You got to enable it. You have the screen share. Yeah, the screen share is disabled on your end.
Oh, it's disabled on our.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, okay.
I came across this
Go
book,
ahead.
and
You're good now.
I found it really interesting. And again, I'm not here to promote this book, but it's a book that I read, and it kind of lends itself to that. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
On the top,
So
it shows there's like a zoom button, so you're more than welcome.
Oh, there you go.
yeah, and so basically we are somewhere like around here. And again, it does I think you can order this poster, but this really talks about all the lands beyond. And this is literally like where all the planets are, the different regions, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm going to talk about the book a little bit. So if you want to buy it, I'm going to kind of ruin it for you.
The
But it
Great
basically
Dome.
talks about, yeah. So there are all these mini domes here, but then there's what's called a great dome that encompasses everything. Everything outside here is covered. I mean, there's a dome that covers everything here. And as I understand it, what's out here is the unknown zone, is everything that's like as bad as you can imagine times a million, you know, allegedly. And so the book talks about these people who travel to these different lands and how they have different versions of history, of Earth's history, of our region's history here, and the guardians and the agreements that were made by these other entities to kind of keep us here, basically as a slave race. As a slave race. And again, I don't want to ruin the book for you, but it's a fascinating read. If I think it's worth a consideration because look, let's be real. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really believe much about anything anymore. I mean, you know, there's been so many, you know, I've seen so many NASA videos that were fake, that it was this obvious bullshit, you know, green screens and all that stuff. I just don't know if I believe everything that I see. So
I'm with you.
once again, I think there's a lot more to it, and it makes sense if you're looking at it from a controlled standpoint. I understand the narrative, you know, with the globe and all that stuff. And again, I could be wrong. I wanted to be wrong. I'm not married to this.
I'd be more inclined to believe that we faked the moon landing versus believing what we have here.
Well,
the moon landing one, I'm more on the side of it's probably faked. But I mean, what makes this so believable? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, was there any part of this when you read that said, "Nah, I think that's bullcrap," or did you just buy it on the first? Did you like believe it all on the first go at reading at it?
You know, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. A long time ago, when I first went to college, the one thing that I learned, the most important thing I learned when I went to college, and I'm not trying to brag, but I have 3 college degrees. I have an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's. And the one thing to this day that I learned, and I read on that average, you can ask my wife, you can ask anybody, 2-3 hours every single day. It is my number one passion, my number one hobby. There's nothing more that I love more than reading. And the one that, and I want to preface what I'm going to say with that is that the more I know, the less I know. The more I realize how much I don't know. And that's the truth. I don't think there's a bigger truth than that. And you know, people tell me, yeah, you know what, you have a wide palette of conversation. You talk about a lot of things, but you know what, I'll tell you what, I've been proven wrong many times, and I have convictions here and there. I have spiritual convictions, and those are based on personal experiences. But as far as things that we've been taught outside of what I've learned on my own, I'll take it with a grain of salt, you know. But I'm willing to be wrong, and that's why I always reserve my rights. I reserve my rights for this podcast. But I think people really spend most of their time on just crap and nonsense that doesn't really have a positive impact on their life. There's so much nonsense going on. But people forget this is your life. You were given so much time to be on this planet. And if you're alive right now, it's for a reason, it's for a purpose. And for you to be, and, not you personally, but, and this is my personal opinion, I'm not judging anyone. This is the way I choose to live my life, but I won't waste a minute of my life on bullshit that doesn't affect me or doesn't bring me closer to God or doesn't bring me closer to exalting myself and just activating the God within. And so when you have that attitude, you just realize, man, there's a lot that, that's kind of a big thing. I need a lot of data per se to be able to think like that and talk like that. And so I'm always taking things, from all over the place, but I really believe that. And once again, I'm just fascinated at how much we can really increase the quality of our life if we dedicate all of our energy to making our lives better. Like, when this is different, but along the same lines, I've learned a lot about, healing and self-healing, and, spiritual healing, if you will, through the power of Christ. My dog, the perfect example, I even feel funny saying this. My dog was all jacked up. I have a little Chihuahua and he was all banged up. His legs were all messed up. And after having Christ come into my life, I was able to pretty much heal my dog myself. I put my hands on him. I did this twice because he's old. His legs were getting bad. Put my hands on him and I healed him. The guy's insane. He's running all over the place. And he's like 18 years old. That's old for a Chihuahua.
That's old. Yeah.
The reason I share that is because I would have never thought about doing something like that unless I took the time to better myself. I would have never thought I had that ability to do that, which we all do, by the way. We all do. We all have these abilities that are just untapped.
Oh, I believe that. Jimmy, can you knock that? Unless you still want to talk about the 178 worlds.
No, hold on. Sorry. Yeah.
Let's knock that out here so we can see you. There
okay, sorry.
No, there's some truth in the whole healing thing, and I've if you want to call them miracles,
some truth.
I've gone through some little mini miracles or things that I can't explain. Like the other day, I was outside my backyard. It was pitch black. It was dark. And I went by the pool, and I see like this little straight line of like what looked like could only be explained like a little lizard or something running across the pool, like a line coming up all the way across the pool. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I'm sounding like a crazy person telling my wife what I just saw. And she goes, are you sure? I know what I saw. Something ran across the pool, like a little lizard or something. And it was a straight line. And I can't explain.
It was a lizard,
Like,
well, I think lizards can run on water like that. Was the impact on the water deep or like a lizard,
like a lizard would? It's like it's like the reason I say lizard is because little tiny little like straight. It was like a straight line of water popping up in a straight line.
Okay.
Like something was walking, and I was like, "What?" I turned on the flashlight on my phone to see, and it was insane to me. I was like, and I could see it like clear because I was right there, and it was crazy.
I believe, I do believe in different different realities. Sometimes they bleed over. I really believe that.
Like dimensions bleeding over? Like
yeah. Oh yeah. I believe that.
Like deja vu. Like how can we explain deja vu? Like I've had so many instances that I know, like I even stop and pause and go, I've been here before. This exact sequence just happened. I've seen this happen before. Or another thing that me and my brother talked about, and it's happened to me twice in this lifetime, where I'm wide awake and I cannot move my body.
Sleep paralysis.
Dude, that is, first of all, it's scary as hell. That's a scary place to be. However, that is you're in the astral realm. And that's when you can do anything. And once we're able to get over the fear, my wife is really good at this, and I'm always jealous because she can control her dreams 100%. She can do everything. She can fly, she can fight, she can eat, she does everything. And if she don't like her dream, she'll snap right out.
Really?
And she can go back to sleep and go back in that same dream. Oh, she's amazing. So we all have that ability, but I've never been able, and I've even bought books on it, and I've studied it, and I've tried to really control my dream state, if you will. I probably haven't. It's probably just a lack of commitment. I know I can do it, but I haven't really committed the amount of time to it.
I've heard that you can train your way to it if you keep a sleep journal, just because dreams fade away from your memory so fast. So as soon as you wake up, write it down. And then you're conditioning the vividness of your brain to recognize what is a dream and have something that's like your day-to-day life, something wouldn't be a dream. Like you turn on the light switch, turn it off, and turn it back on. Because in a dream, you turn it on, turn it off, it won't turn back on again. So it's just like little small habits that can help condition your ability to control dreams. And then there's also the next step. Once you realize that you can control a dream, your body's about to wake up. So it's a matter of staying in the sleep state and controlling the dream so you can enjoy it further and longer.
So let me split your cap a little bit more. I was reading this thing, and it all kind of ties in together. It was talking about how we all can solve things in the dream state. And how, for example, if you have an issue with your cousin and blah, 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 before you go to sleep, you agree, hey, you know what, we're going to work this out in the dream state. And I remember reading that years ago, and I just kind of left it there. And then going back to the whole dome we were talking about, I found this very interesting. And one more thing that nobody really considers, this is the question that's kind of left out with the whole flat earth thing, is that it's really a question of cosmology, of how we got here. And the whole of creationism. That's an argument that is not really discussed. I'm not a big fan of the whole Big Bang thing, and I'm okay not understanding it, but I do believe in creationism. They kind of like all bleed into together. If you study, there's a really good book out there by called Forbidden Knowledge, I believe it's called. It was by this Jason Quick. This guy's a phenomenal guy. Anyways, he talks about when he would travel in the astral realm, and how he can basically interact with other entities. And this is another version of existence. You know how we're 50% physical matter, the other half is spiritual. Well, that spiritual essence of us, if you will, is what enters the ether, the spirit realm, when we go to sleep. And it's during that time that you can work things out with your cousin and then come back, in this reality, if you will. And you'll have a, more peaceful communication, if you will. Now, that kind of ties into the whole dome thing, because I've also read, and this is tied into a lot of books, where there's literally some type of protective barrier that doesn't let the souls under the dome get out, and it doesn't let things come in. And so, again, it's part of the same conversation, because it does tie into, if you look at the Book of Enoch, you read the Book of Enoch, this goes back,
you say Enoch?
Many years. The Book of Enoch, yeah.
Yes, the Book of Enoch.
Yeah. And so once again, I'm kind of overlapping a bunch of different things that I have read throughout the years, but this is kind of the way that I see it. And again, at the end of the day, it all goes back to, good and evil. There's a, battle of good and evil. And until we learn that spiritual aspect of ourselves, that's the only way I think we're going to increase our understanding of reality, of this reality. That's the way I see it. But there's definitely the spiritual aspect in many people that needs to be activated or turned on or turned up.
Well, kind of like the Matrix, we're all just in a simulation, right? And like, that's something I could entertain. Like, sometimes I feel things are too coincidental.
So we will not see this dome in the Matrix. It's only when we awaken from the Matrix we can actually see the dome. That's a possibility, right?
But the larger truth is that this is kind of an energy extraction matrix, and we are literally energetic beings. And if are we feeding flowers or are we feeding weeds? It's as simple as that. I mean, look at the state of the world. When I turn on TV and shit, my God, the world's on fire. The world's always on fire. The world's always going to be on fire. But you know what? That's got nothing to do with me. And it's not about being selfish, and it's not about not caring, but it's about understanding my limitations and knowing that, I didn't create this world. I'm here on a mission. I'm here to do a job. And that's kind of the part of life as well, is to find your purpose, to find your calling. And once you do, everything else is kind of a walk in the park. Those things over there don't bother you as much. And then that over there doesn't bother you as much, because, you're grounded and you kind of know why you're here. It's just a different approach to life. It's a more grounded approach to your mission, to your purpose.
Well, the whole, like, going back to the ice wall could feed into the 178 world thing that we just saw. And the whole passage that you were talking about, I've heard about such a thing before in one of the rabbit holes or black hole things that I went through. you know, when I hear stuff like that, yeah, it could sound far-fetched, but so does the whole aspect of every nation having a contract or an obligation and all have a treaty for Antarctica, but nothing else is kind of like,
Yeah,
Well,
that's
exactly.
crazy.
it's not just Antarctica; it's also the moon and
And
Mm,
other
hmm
planetary expeditions. You can't just go to the moon and be like, this belongs to the United States or this belongs to China. It's the same thing with Antarctica. So it's a discussion that has been made before.
Yeah, yeah. Let me show you something. Talking about the moon, I want to show you guys a picture I
yeah,
took years ago. I took this picture in front of my house. I used to get, and I haven't gotten them in a while, but I would get these premonitions. I'm sitting in my living room and it's like, go outside right now and take a look and I'll take a picture. Boom, there's something there. But this was really, really trippy because, and I have to look for it. I wasn't planning on sharing this, so I apologize. Um, but this is going to blow you away because it makes no sense. Let me show you another book. So this is, and again, I'm not promoting these people, but this is the second book, and it talks about it. The one is under the Great Dome, and I think it's a great read. I think for those interested in the topic,
mhm.
it's a good read. Here we go. I okay. So here's one. So this is one. You ever hear that song, Black Hole Sun?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let me show you. I mean, again,
Done.
look at this. Look at this here. This is, I forgot where this was. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I see it.
Okay. So this is supposed to be I don't know, the sun. And then look at this black hole in the middle of it. And it's also reflective on the water. I mean, how do you explain that? And these are from these cams, these live cams that are all over the world. And they just record shit, you know, it's like a live feed. I guess it's weather stuff,
How
but
is that dot in the water too?
well,
Well, it's
because it's
something to be in front of
reflective.
the moon. It's something to be in front of that
No,
sun
no.
that casts that shadow right there.
What's that big to cast shadow? The moon?
No, the moon, you would have an eclipse. It could be anything that's in the way, really.
Huh.
Well, allegedly from that song, Black Hole Sun, this is what they're talking about. And this is really interesting because it also talks about um this is what yeah, look up Black Hole Sun and you go down that rabbit hole. Let me close that, but I'm gonna look for the
Huh.
picture of the picture that I took of the moon because that's gonna really make you think. So this is another one that I took.
Do you remember that
I have,
video you had of the moon and the clouds were behind the moon?
oh yeah, that's yeah,
I remember that
yeah,
one a couple years
right
ago, and
here.
I was like,
See it right here? Can you see that?
yeah.
Yeah. This was from my backyard, and these are obviously in front of the moon, and these are obviously in back of the moon, you know? And again, I'm okay with, people, this really, excuse my language, fucks up a lot of people because they don't know how to feel about it. They're like, wait a second, well, if that's wrong, then this is, blah, 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 blah. Okay, again, I gotta look for it. This is hope you guys don't mind scrolling through all this stuff. Can you guys see me scrolling through this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, shit, this is all my family stuff. Sorry, guys. Let me stop that screen part so I can look for it.
Yeah.
But
We don't
go
have a
ahead.
private life out there.
No, no, not at all, not at all. And I'm not, the most tech savvy guy sometimes. They're in a folder. It's called I have them in a folder called Do Not Delete. So I gotta look for that folder. But anyways, once again, I think this all kind of ties back to cosmology, to creation. And I think people would benefit from expanding their understanding of these things.
Or just having a conversation. Like I know Danny's like, well, why do you think this is real or whatever? I think when you read something and it starts to answer questions that you never had questions about, and you
Mhm.
opens up your mind, you're like, wait a second, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
You start to
Hmm.
question stuff like that. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if we woke up tomorrow and we realized that we were in a dome and there was
Hmm.
178 because there has to be some form of elite, something controlling every aspect of our lives, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And the whole thing was like this world's like you said, you turn on TV, it's crazy.
It's
It is
shit. It's pure shit. It's
crazy.
garbage. And and again, don't get me started here, but the bullshit that they pump in people's minds and the stuff that they want people to believe and how they want them to think and how they try to manipulate them with such bullshit. And then, a little sidebar. I got to say this now. I was at the beach with some friends about a year or two a year ago, and I remember I had said something, and this girl said to me, "You can't say that anymore." And I'm like, the fact that people still think that they're gonna allow an appliance to dictate how they live their life, it's just like, you're fucking telling me what I can and cannot say. Are you serious right now?
They are trying to do that. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It just drives me insane. I can't believe people buy into this shit. You can't say that. You got to do like this. You got to do like this.
How about, have you seen that cashless society people that you can pay for stuff with your hand?
Dude, like they say sometimes, this is terrible. Que se lo lleva el diablo, bro. That's got nothing to do with me. That's bullshit,
That's the
bro. Those
mark of the
people,
beast.
I don't even know if they're real people, bro. I don't even know. They're just probably paid actor morons. I don't know if I believe that shit, bro. I have not met, in my personal life, I've never met one person who says, oh, yeah, I want to get chipped. So, that's why, too, I wonder, it's just propaganda. Well, look, everyone's doing it, so you should, too.
No,
And,
thank you.
like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, dang, I wish we had more time because I would want to talk about Revelations with the mark of the beast.
Well, that's next show. Next
That-
time.
that'd be
Next time, bring
because-
on Jimmy. Write down that we'll talk Mark of the Beast.
It
and all
doesn't
that
have to be
stuff.
so literal. It has to be 666 on your hand, but there could
Well,
be different ways how it's implemented.
Well, look, I mean, remember, he's not working alone. He's got he's got his army. Satan's got his armies, the seven deadly sins. Those are actual spirits. Those are actual entities.
Oh yeah.
And people should understand that. So yeah, dude, it's absolutely true. Everything, the reason my conviction is so strong is because you realize the system is set up completely against it. And this is my personal opinion, but yeah, when there's so much that's against Christ, and then that kind of tells you this is probably the right way to do it. That's the way I see it. Especially, how they're trying to destroy the families and redefine the families and all that shit.
That's happening right now. I know.
I got no time for that shit. I got no time. It literally has zero, that's between them and their maker. And I'm not here to do, but I will not allow that. I won't even entertain that conversation with anyone.
No, I feel the same way, but back to the original concept.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't know, man. The Antarctica thing is just something that I'm really curious and would love. People are going, "You're crazy. You're crazy." Am I crazy because I'm asking questions? Am I crazy because I'm seeing these whistleblowers on these like shows or not shows but podcasts? Because everyone watches podcasts now. No one really watches shows. And they're talking about there could be something in Antarctica. Why is everyone like on the same page about it? Because if it was resources and stuff, why isn't like China saying we're taking this over?
Oh, it's about control. Well, first of all, I don't think we're the ones running the shows. If we're going to go down this road, I think the ones that are running the show are in Antarctica. I think all the, I believe that.
The people who are running the show live in Antarctica?
Probably.
Yeah,
Antarctica is probably controlling the world.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Just like they say that the cartel runs the country from inside the jails. It's kind of the same thing, All you got to have is the right people. You got to, that's not an impossible thing. That's not an impossible thing. There's a movie out there called Branded. It's an old movie, and I love this movie because it tells you, for me, it's almost like full disclosure. Like they teach you or they show you how in these movies and how advertising, et cetera, how these things exist. They make it like a mockery, but I recommend it's called Branded. To me, it's full disclosure. I saw another movie the other day. Came out of 2019. It was Techno something, but they were talking about, and again, this all ties in together, how they used, these to kind of scan our brains, through our eye. They can map out our brains and create duplicate versions of us. And this is technology that's
I've heard about that. Yeah,
beyond us. And where's it coming from? Probably someplace like Antarctica, I don't know.
And they can use that in a different world or whatever. I read something about that. It's kind of far fetched, but I read about it.
Well, Parsa versus Google, 2019, Southern District of California. Look it up. PARSA, Parsa versus Google. It's about 92, 93 pages. You got to look at that lawsuit. Just reading it and understanding that this technology exists. And this is 4 years ago. Read it. Just look at the lawsuit and look what he was accusing them of. The guy's no idiot. He knows what he was talking about. He was suing them, the guy knows what he's talking about. When you're going up against giants like that, And like, granted, he's probably not going to win. He don't have the resources to win.
Yeah,
But
he's
look
not
at
gonna
what,
win.
you know, he knows what he's talking about.
I was watching this show and I saw the first episode, but it really caught my attention. It's a show on Amazon Prime called Silo.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I saw the first episode and it got me thinking of all these people from day one are taught one thing. Who's to say it's not like that, right?
Man, I'm telling you, I've accepted that we've been lied to about everything. Lied to once again in the sense that what we've been taught is incomplete. And they factor out human consciousness. They factor out, you know, whenever there's a problem, it's always somebody else. It's always something from the outside coming to fix the problem. It's never you. Because you're the last one who's going to fix it. Let me fix that for you. And that's how I'm going to control you.
Well, Jimmy, we ran out of time for this week's segment, but definitely gonna have you on. Remember, Mark of the Beast is the next topic we're talking.
Give me like a day's notice, man.
I will give you a day's notice.
Yeah, let me know.
Definitely. I'll give you a day's notice next time. Sound good?
All right, cool.
Thanks,
God
brother.
bless, guys.
Talk to you later,
Thank
Jimmy.
you. All right, bye.